What you are about to listen to is a few hours long analysis of old school RuneScape's first skill, sailing. While the analysis covers the full breadth of the update, much like the actual oceans, the depth varies. As you listen, please let us know if there's anything you would like covered in more detail or something you thought was inaccurate. I'll be sure to pin your comment admitting the correction. For GNN viewers, we'll be back next week with our Christmas special. If you want to support this show, please share your favorite episodes with your friends, like the videos as you watch them, and if you aren't already, subscribe to the channel. And yes, I did say us earlier. Joining me today for this analysis, I have Trey from the Wilderness and Say More podcasts. If you would like to find either of those shows, you can do so by subscribing to the channels on screen and linked in this video's description. With those formalities out of the way, please enjoy the next 3 uninterrupted hours of two men who love RuneScape slightly more than they love the sound of their own voice. Trey, thank you for coming on to the Weez World podcast. We're talking sailing today, a pretty thorough investigation of the skill. I guess at this point, it's not really an investigation. It's been out for quite a while. This is more of a review. I've loved the skill. What about you? Where are you at with it?
I've very much enjoyed it. My whole thing coming into sailing was that this is, the biggest content release we've ever had in this game and probably the biggest one we're going to have for a while. And so it's so easy to hop onto, all of the media and the content creators and the Reddit and stuff and see every fast thing. And I know for a lot of people that was their goal, was to max as fast as possible or, get 99 as fast as possible. And, like get every, like speed running it. Right. And so my mindset is just always was like, this is going to be around forever. This is a skill. It's not something that, it's not like there was some like day one, like, getting whatever dragon metal sheets or something, like getting in there and getting those hugely inflated day one prices. But I always approached it from the perspective of this is going to be around forever. And I'm just going to, the first time through, I'm going to go in completely blind. I'm just going to explore. And that feels very much the heart of, the sailing skill in general, is just exploration. And I'm still to this day, I've really avoided any guides or anything. Obviously, it's hard to not pick up on a lot of stuff just through, the cultural osmosis of seeing, the 99s and stuff and a lot of the memes, and, you pick up a lot just naturally. But I've mostly kept blind and it's been an absolute blast. Just just not knowing where I'm going, just sailing around and discovering things naturally and trying things out and being bad at things, which is something we allow ourselves in this game to do so little, is just to go in and be bad at something. We feel like we have to get the gear that's 10 times over what's necessary. And we feel like we have to know exactly how to kill the boss before we go. And, so many people don't want to learn raids because they're scared they're going to die. And it's like, well, how do you think the people who are teaching you learned how to raid?
I'm so upset that I missed the magic of release, Tob. I'm so upset.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, I've just been completely blind, learning stuff and not paying too much attention to a lot of the, obviously the drama, kind of the inevitable drama that we have had with sailing, which I know we're going to get to, but we'll just say a lot less than I expected. But that's been there. But the drama being XP rates being changed from someone who is just kind of not paying attention to the levels and, just doing the activities hasn't really affected me negatively. Sure, it didn't feel great when it was like, hey, the thing you're doing, you're getting half as much XP for it or whatever. But yeah, I haven't gotten to the point, I have a main that I need to remax at some point, and I fully intend on doing that in whatever efficient way is possible. But for the iron, it's just been sailing the seas and just enjoying it, not knowing where I'm going. It's been great.
Yeah. And I imagine as well, because for disclosure, thank you for saying that you're on iron. That's going to help frame what we're talking about here. I'm a max main, so I'm in the process of remaxing. I think I'm just hit 93, a little bit away from hitting 93. The thing is, when you're playing it on your second monitor, you don't. I feel bad. Like when I got past 30, I got to the point where I had to think about how old I am. I'm the same way with sailing because I've been leveling it just AFK at work. Yeah, I did the Barracuda routes when I unlocked them just to get the collection logs slash the very cool sailing unlocks. I love that they've kind of turned it into there's aspects of like Metroidvania games in the sailing progression that I think is really cool. Without getting too sidetracked, I don't know what level I am. I'm in the 90s something, and I've kind of gone the same route where I felt fine taking a break to go and farm the dragon pieces because I'm a main, and that was one of the things that I was interested in, was making at least a little bit of coin. Made about 100 mil or so, 120 mil from
What are those
frost
things going
dragons.
for?
Well, now, I mean, they're down to nothing. That's why I've kind of gone back to. There was a while when my wife and I were watching Jeopardy. I know I said I'm over 30. When we're watching Jeopardy, that was one of my activities for a little bit during the sailing launch, was killing frost dragons, because I was getting, I think when I first started, like 2.7 mil per plate, which they're pretty frequent. I feel like I was getting one an hour. I'm pretty sure I'm really spooned at frost dragons as well. Really infuriating to the irons. And the nail drops were even better, like when you'd get those, because you'd get, I think it's 5 to 15 are the range that they can drop in. And they were worth, I think, 180K when I first got the frost dragons as well. Now it's down to like 120K per nail and less, like it's like 1 point, I don't know. Maybe this is what I put the offer in for, but I feel like I had to, in order to get it to sell, I had to put the plates in for like 1.5 mil or something. So they're down to the point where, like, now I'm like, okay, if we're watching Jeopardy, I'm back to salvaging, just because I'd rather have the XP than the GP. But I imagine if you are a person who's not maxed, you've not really done any raids, this probably is still some really cracked GP. So I imagine there's still a lot of supply coming in. People are gonna still be going at Frost Dragons for quite a bit. I imagine those prices are still high enough to attract mains still. So I thoroughly enjoy it. They're also like, there was the dopamine of getting the drops, right, where you wouldn't have a loot beam because they're new items. So unless you've highlighted them, you're not gonna have a loot beam. But when you get it and that this is worth like just 3 mil in nails, that was really fun. And then on top of that, you just see huge numbers because you have the Dragon Hunter wand, you have the Tome of Fire. They're really fun to kill. I'm glad that they weren't like, I don't know, annoying to kill, if that makes sense. Like, it would have been neat to have a kind of like Slayer demi boss. Man, when they do the next Majorat quest, I really hope they add in Glaciers. I thought Glaciers from RuneScape 3 were an amazing fight. Even during the RuneScape 2 days before Evolution of Combat, they were so fun. That's originally, I believe, the upgraded boots came from there, like our equivalent of Prims and whatnot. But no, I kind of like that they're brain off. I especially, I think that irons are also going to appreciate that they're brain off, because you have to kill so many of them, which maybe is a conversation point for later. While we're talking about, you brought up those XP rates that people, they responded, I mean, just in, I think, the kindest manner possible. No one was throwing anything around. Completely rational responses from all camps, I imagine. As that happened, that was really it, right? And like, people are arguing over XP rates, and these are XP rates not for like the active training method itself, right? Like, say the cargo routes, which actually were buffed because of that update, not because of the trials, but the putting your phone in your pocket, not being able to watch, which I love. Like, I love being at the Varlamore marketplace, thieving from the distracted people that are distracted by the orphans. But orphans? What are the poor kids? Not orphans. maybe they are. I don't know. That could be why they're on the street and destitute.
I mean, they probably are, but I don't think that's what they're called in game. But
Right.
I can't think of what it is.
But like, there's multiple times where I just I have an earbud in as I'm walking around the house doing chores, whatever, and then when I hear the little jingle, I pull my phone out and I tap. So there is some level like where I like AFK XP, but 60K per hour is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
What did you think about it?
Yeah, it was funny because I mean, sailing was, it's funny that people were so excited for sailing and people were, taking off all this time for work, and then everybody's favorite training method was something AFK. And one of like an S tier AFK activity that's come from sailing, which is incredible. And we can, really go into salvaging later, but it really, reignited that spark of conversation that we've just, it crops up so often in this game, of the people saying like, they poo poo on AFK stuff because they're like, well, everybody just wants to play the game without playing the game and stuff. And it's weird. I've never felt that way. Maybe that's, because I'm employed, but for me, that's just so at the heart of RuneScape. To me, the game being chill and, not super intensive is more old school than, PVMing and Barracuda trials or whatever active methods there are. That's like the heart of RuneScape is just chopping trees and zoning out kind of a thing. And so
Yeah.
I've never really had a problem with that. But then, that conversation always pops up. But obviously for salvaging specifically and the big snafu that we had with the XP rate cut and then reversal, it was Jagex didn't want the best training method to be AFK. And I think they've always done a great job of trying to do that with every skill where you have your active training method, which is, more intensity, more reward, and then your AFK training method, less intensity, less reward. It's very natural and that's very great. And it makes a lot of sense that if people were just, if everybody was saying salvaging to 99, then I can see why they panicked. But I think salvaging has this really, really great natural kind of curve in the AFK kind of spectrum of like this you can micro efficiencies of if you're the one doing the salvaging, if you're the one doing the sorting or whatever, and you got your crewmates involved and stuff, and there's like all these little steps of making it more and less AFK,
Mm-hmm.
more and less XP, which
Yeah.
is really cool. The first time I saw that, I was like, I thought I was getting ripped off. I was like, wait, I don't get as much XP when my crewmates do it.
Yep.
And then when I found out that your crewmates will automatically restart when it comes back, it's like, oh, okay, that's genius.
Mm-hmm.
More input is more reward, and vice versa. And
Yep.
so,
That's always been the dials that they have, right? I mean,
yeah,
there's always the trade-off between how AFK is something going to be. There's also a trade-off, and I imagine we'll get to this later as well with the trawling. There is also a trade-off that they have between how much experience something gives and how profitable something is. That exists whether or not they design around it. Even if something comes into the game, like if something gives a lot of experience, whatever that thing produces, there's going to be a surplus of that in the market, which is going to cause there to be lower prices. So the fact that trawling doesn't reward a lot of experience, we shouldn't be surprised to see that it's going to, even if they designed it around this, of course, but that's going to cause there to be higher prices. So like with sailing, you can kind of see their design ethos that like, what is it? There's some video on YouTube that essentially focuses on these knobs that they have and how they can turn them. I can't remember the name of the video for my life, but it's a video. I don't even want to call it a video essay because there's not like much. Like he just has a slideshow that he's going through. It's like a lecture. It's awesome. I love it. Like how AFK something is, how profitable something is, how much XP something is. Those are all trade-offs that you have to face in this game that I think make RuneScape. The question is, I don't think they cared necessarily that crewmate salvaging and only crewmate salvaging existed. I think they maybe looked at, okay, do we have these knobs in the right place? And
yeah,
when you're I don't know, let's say you're putting in 1/5 less inputs, but you're getting 60% of the XP, is something a little unbalanced there maybe, which that's all subjective at some point. That's like trying to ask what is old school. But I think where it's at now is certainly fine. I think what was most telling was that like 30k XP an hour for a skill, really not that bad. But it wasn't communicated. No one had on their radar at all that salvaging was going to be taking a nerf, especially salvaging with like you yourself on the hook and then sorting yourself and then getting back on the hook. No one had that on their radar at all. If anything, people were probably expecting salvaging to like be more AFK for the same amount of experience because they were talking about moving the experience from the crystal extractor to the other methods. And we never saw that. We still haven't seen that really, I don't think. Maybe with the second update, you could say that like salvaging is more AFK and you get right around the same amount of experience that you were before that whole first update they had. But I'm curious to see if they'll have that crystal extractor update out before Christmas, because I imagine we're running out of weeks before they go on Christmas break themselves. I'm curious to see whether or not that comes. But do Do you think that people would have been fine with the XP rates as they were after that, like that update that no one liked? Do you think if they had those rates on release, do you think people would have been fine with it? Like, would people have complained that it was too low and that they needed to buff sailing or salvaging rather?
I don't think so because I think it would have been like, oh, well, this is pretty much the same XP rates as like star mining,
Yeah.
and that's relatively, and it's the same AFK in a very different way. You know, star mining is it's more AFK for a longer amount of time, but then you have to like, I mean, if you're most people, you have to get on Discord, go to the Star Miners Discord, find where the next
Yeah.
star is, and
Yeah.
teleport there. Whereas salvaging, you're always in the same place, but you have to interact a little more often to drop it. But you know, kind of the same feeling as far as downtime goes. So I think that it would have been, yeah. I mean, I think I was surprised that it felt more like Redwood XP than it
Yes.
did Star Mining XP, and I mean, I wasn't complaining.
Yeah. No, like my thing is if there is going to if we're looking at XP rates, would I rather have a method come out that is like that where it's, what, 60k XP an hour, very very low intensity. I'd much rather it come out with a new skill than the older skills. It's just in my mind, if a new skill is, are we going to have lower rates or higher rates? I'd prefer higher rates just because that's one less reason for people to be upset if they're like complaining about another slow skill. Like, it'd be rough if you're like, oh my gosh, like this is another agility, this is another rune crafting, or I think this is another mining, which I think is also pretty interesting because you have the mining where you can do stars, but even then, like your top end of mining is going to be what, 110k doing like some tick manipulation method maybe, whereas with
Mhm.
sailing, like sure, the AFK method is that 30, 60k. It depends when you're talking 60k now. The top range is still like 200k XP an hour, and that's very casually doing the Gwyneth Glide. So it's kind of almost apples and oranges comparing star mining to salvaging, because salvaging, you really do have a high opportunity cost if that's where you're getting your sailing XP from, because you could be getting like 4 times as much for not a lot more. I guess if you're keeping your phone in your pocket, it is a lot more inputs doing something like Gwyneth Glide. But it's not like when you're doing the Gwyneth Glide, I don't think that the Barracuda trials are as challenging as the Hollowed Sepulchre by any means. I think there's still a lot that they could do with the skill
Hard
ceiling
agree.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I think they knew that sailing had so many like hopes pinned on it, so much pressure, and they did a really good job of, you know, they didn't make it a like you're saying, they have these different training methods. They did a really good job of making it kind of something for everyone. It wasn't a mining where it was salvaging the skill, and it wasn't, Barracuda trials where it was agility or sepulcher the skill. It's got kind of all of those different things. You have this wide variance of training methods, and it is one of the most varied styles of training. It's among the like top 5 skills in the game. It's like compare it to something like Slayer. I got called out recently on a different podcast for comparing it to fire making as a joke. um, so I'll compare it to my favorite skill, Slayer, which is like that's what makes Slayer so good, and I think that's part of what
Yep.
makes sailing great is the variance of I
Yes.
just want to chill tonight, so I'm going to do this Bloodveld task, or I'm going to go boss tonight, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to do Krill for this Greater Demons task, or
Yeah.
even just to talk more about Slayer. I got a Greater Demons task. I can do
Uh
boring
huh.
Greater Demons, or I can do TDs if I want mid-level challenge, or I can go to Krill, which
Yes.
maybe is a bad example because it's not as much of a challenge these days. But anyways, you
Right.
get what I'm saying. It's like I my favorite thing about RuneScape is coming home at the end of the day and being like, what do I feel like doing?
Mm-hmm.
And with if if I want to train sailing, that can fit any of those moods. And those are the best skills. It's like, I gotta train skilling. I'm not feeling it tonight. I'm just gonna salvage. I want to
Yeah.
watch a movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I'm feeling it tonight. I can still train sailing. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's also the case where not only does your mood dictate what you're going to be doing in games, there's times where what's happening in game can also be what dictates what your approach is going to be. Where with Slayer, you do have uh, this feedback. Where I know for me, when I was going for 99 Slayer, I would go and do Slayer on my second monitor at work while I'm getting some projects done, and if it was an AFK task, I could do it at work. when the first non AFK one popped up, but it was still like maybe it was a bursting task or something that I didn't want to let go of. I could put it in storage, and then I could keep doing tasks, and then at some point I have like a boss task or 2 burst tasks, whatever the case is. Where then I'm like, okay, well, like now I'm just gonna AFK something else at work. And what I
Yeah.
love about salvaging is that you have that whole spectrum. Which the spectrum, man, that's great for RuneScape players. But you have this whole spectrum. You have this whole spectrum of ways to be AFK. Where like there's multiple times for me, I know that like if I am on, if I'm doing a project and then my lunch hour starts at work, like if I wanted to, I could start being way more active as I'm salvaging during that lunch hour, whatever the case is. I will say the one thing that I don't like, well, I should say I like it because of the flavor, but like as a greedy gamer, what I don't like is like it is kind of hard to transition between methods. Very easy to transition within salvaging your inputs, and of course you get rewarded for that. But like if I wanted to just go do a Barracuda trial, not exactly something that I can just easily transition to. But I think I'd much rather have that than not have the flavor that comes with that friction. And all of this is to say, right? All of this salvaging talk, that's the drama. That's it, right? Like only 4 hours of launch. Only 4 hours of downtime on the second day. That's wild. It gave Asian Grinder enough time to sleep, I guess, for the remainder of the 96 hours that it took him to max. That was, at the time, people were upset. I was like, holy cow, how has this not happened already? I played a lot of World of Warcraft in my day, knowing that like I would never take time off for a launch for World of Warcraft just because I knew like the servers were going to go down and I wouldn't be able to play anyways. With sailing, I was up at 4:30 in the morning. I got to the launch at 5, and then I played until work at 7. I got to level 15 so I could salvage. So I was salvaging all the way through work. And then on my lunch hour, I had hit like level 30 at some time before lunch. So I got to do some the Tempor trial. I thought that was amazing. And then I after that, I went back to salvaging some more. And then I got to play like the whole day. And then I got to play the whole night and the server wasn't down. It was crazy. I was
Yeah.
super impressed with how well they've done. And now like people have been complaining about like League's launches being garbage for people wanting to actually play the game and take the day off. Like, oh, I've taken the day off and now I can't play because your servers are down. I'm assuming we're going to be fine going into the future.
Well, I mean, and even going like to the actual moment of release, the thing they did this time around that they've never done before, having the update go live while the servers are on was incredible. They didn't have you log out. You had to log out. I think it was like 30 minutes before or something when there was downtime. But
Yeah.
having the server live, having everybody gathered on the dock, and then just having you are now sailing level 1 and everybody's little fireworks going off, and
Yeah.
like having that moment and not just because usually whenever the servers go down, even if you're excited for it, it's like people kind of trickle
Yeah.
in. It's like, oh, this is my bathroom break, I'm gonna get
At
some
best,
coffee.
you're waiting in Discord with your boys. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But having it go live and just everybody already logged in, ready to go, and just it felt less and less, like people are showing up one by one, and more like everybody's at the start line and they shoot the gun off and
Mm-hmm.
everybody starts going. And that wasn't. I'll remember that for a long time. Just that moment of everybody like hitting that
Yes.
first person to start the quest and just racing for it.
It's a
And
literal race. You're looking for the first, like, who's that raft that's up there?
and
Yeah.
if you're at like a quest on release, you don't need quest helper. You just follow this train of people from one person to the
Yeah.
next.
Yeah. Who needs the blue highlights when you have a mass of people just going,
Yeah.
which I did I get faked out at all by anyone? I don't know if I got faked out by anyone going to the wrong places just because I had played the alphas and betas. I knew the quests already. What did fake me out though were the messages that they made go above everybody's head, because I thought every time that one of those happened, I thought sailing was launching, so I kept talking to the person being upset that I couldn't start. That was a little frustrating, but it was cute in hindsight. I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, it was so cool. And it's just always so it makes me so excited to see how you could just tell how excited the people making it were. And
Mm-hmm.
that gives so much confidence and so much more enjoyment and excitement to something. And you could tell, like, for all of the naysayers, and I was one of them, And for everybody that said that, once again, I was one of them, but everybody's saying that sailing should have never been a skill, or it should have been a mini game, or I didn't vote for it, and all this stuff. I just feel like they knew what they were cooking,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, I didn't believe it until I saw it, and I was completely blown away. And we're what, 3 weeks from the release, and the honeymoon like phase has definitely worn off, and some of the warts have started to show. But the worst of the warts really is just I it's such a good bare bones, and I want more, but I can't take away from how big of a swing this was and how successful, for how much content there is on release. And
Yes.
compared to, everybody likes to compare it to day one Zaya, but comparing it to day one Zaya, and it's like, yeah, I'm ready for the next huge update. And I'm sure well, it's like I start to say every big update from now on will be sailing, but it's like we have this, Grandmaster Mauritania quest coming, and I think it's just easy to forget that they have different people working on different things. So I think it's not going to just be only sailing for everything, but I'm so excited to see what else gets added to fill in some of the gaps with sailing, some of the other types of things. Uh, yeah, I just think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. No. And the thing is what for me, I did play the alpha and the beta. I thought the once I got in and felt the ship movement, I was like, okay, they could really do something here. Uh, so I was kind of on like team optimism at that point. And then it was the case where it wasn't necessarily the skill itself. It was the fact that I don't know, maybe I'm glazing here, but when we look at the game over this past year, more than that if we wanted to, but let's just for the sake of being conservative, this past year, update after update being banger after banger. That I think is what made me more confident than ever for sailing. It's like there's no way that this team that's producing all of this stuff this whole year is not going to, if the ship movement is good like I know it is, isn't going to produce something that is going to be awesome for sailing. And that's also what reassures me for the future is that I think it is a calculated intentional choice that they wanted to release sailing with the amount of stuff that ties into it. I know that they were plainly aware of there being that dissension amongst the players, where some people were for it, some people were against it. I think it was a very wise choice to release sailing that had progression in and for itself, but not tie any of the in-game progression to it. I think that could have maybe warped the game around sailing, and that could have made it to where the game wasn't like you can never go to a port, and RuneScape is still the same as it was 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And that's the most beautiful thing about it is that they're not completely requiring this of players, and it's one of, oh gosh, how many skills do we have now? It's one of the many skills that we have. So as
28,
they
right? One, two, three,
it's
7.
what,
Yeah,
four
there's
across, how
wait,
many down?
wait, 24. Yeah. Yeah, it's 24. Okay. Whew.
There we go. Um
Hold on, let me check my days played, and then I don't know how many skills there are.
Uh-oh. No, I know that I've spent at least a 30th of my life playing this game. And that's
Yeah.
waking hours, right? So so when you look at like there was a point where I would introduce myself to students, I talk about the things that I like to do as hobbies, and then there was a moment where I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been playing this game longer than you guys have been alive. Like I am the old person right now." And I teach seniors too, so it's not like I'm talking to little kids. Almost grown adults. I have played this game. I mean, now I'm at the point where, of course, I have. But in any case, there are people playing this game that this game is older than them, and I think that's just super neat. Tangents aside, I'm very excited for the future just because this team has proven themselves time after time, and I'm also excited now. Like Elena and Husky, they're now freed up to hopefully go work on more projects. They both have a great track record. I mean, we've got Guardians of the Rift, we've got Hollowed Sepulchre. I'm excited to see what else they're going to do in the game now. So, all of the server performance, all of the launch, all of the that salvaging snafu, all in all, like I think this is way on the better side as far as launches of a skill go.
Yeah, I mean, no rollback, no game-breaking bugs. I don't think there was any like, "Oh, this guy's getting 1 mil XP per hour by abusing this." I didn't see anything like
Mhm.
that. I think there was one small thing, and they immediately were, like, on top of it. I don't even remember what that was.
There was the
It wasn't
10K
even.
land, yeah, the 10K from
Yeah,
the charting. But hey, if it's, I think it was a great thing that the first person to get 99 did not utilize that 10,000 XP.
yeah. Yeah, and
So
it wasn't like they were technically the second person, but they're only counting, it
yep,
wasn't like Fo got it first or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
But
yeah, I mean, that's so minor compared to, Tebow's raining from the sky like has happened in the past.
there's been no Tebow Bush, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm still waiting for the game to fall apart. And that's been, kind of responding to what you're saying earlier. I mean, that's been this entire year. I mean, just every update, it's like, well, this is going to be less than I expect, and it's more than I expect. And then my my like copium is always like, oh well, that means sailing's gonna be 2028 now. This is gonna delay sailing. And then they announced. Sailing was gonna come out this year still, and it was like, okay, that's not gonna happen. And
Yeah.
then they set a date, and it was like, oh, well, they must be rushing it, and it's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
terrible. And I mean, my goodness, I mean, Varlamore and Yama, and I mean everything that's happened this
Yeah.
year, and they still got Sailing out, and everything they've released has been,
Yeah.
I mean, it's RuneScape. I play RuneScape every day, and I will have complaints and criticisms for every single thing that comes out. But overall, my goodness, it has been such an incredible year, and I mean, what a cherry on top of Sailing. They saved the best for last. Um, yeah, I have criticisms, of course, but I there's so many good things about Sailing.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a home run.
Yeah, and I think we're about to get into those because there are things that I think could be better. I'll agree. I know there are some people that are pointing out that there are some things that certainly feel rushed. I would agree. Combat probably isn't in a place where the J mods are to. When I say proud, like mechanically and technically, I'd imagine they're pretty proud of it, and they should be. Like I'm mechanically, I think it's when we look at what tech we had 3 years ago versus what we have in the game right now, it is very impressive. As far as how well it's balanced, how good it feels, I think having to like back my boat up, like there's two things that I hate. Like in order to get your cannons firing at the same side, there's two things that I don't like about it. It feels bad. I don't like it. Like the mechanically, it's annoying to do. Especially like I'm imagining in the future as we have more complicated ship combat, it's gonna be so annoying to like. All right, now I have this boss. Let me just beep 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 back up my boat into it so I can get two shots off at once. Like that's gonna be annoying. And there's also the case where it like that's not what you do with a boat, man. You don't shoot your cannons off the front or the back. You broadside whatever you're shooting. Um, so like that's annoying. But if they can find some way to fix it, like I'm open to them totally like changing the hitboxes to where you can't double shoot from the front or double shoot from the back and like doubling the damage of each cannon on each side. That way, it's like the mechanic is to make sure that the creature isn't in front of you or behind you. Keep it on your broadside. That would also help with cannonball usage, I imagine. Well, I guess in that case, maybe not, because right now we're shooting two cannons for that same amount of damage. Maybe we'd have to like quadruple it. But all I know, I'm not the developer. That's not my problem to figure out what the solution is. I just know it feels bad. That's what they get paid to do. So I'm not a fan of that. But like again, like it's RuneScape. It's not just about combat. The skilling side feels amazing, and I have faith that they'll figure out the combat. Have you had a chance to do much combat yet?
I've done a few of the bounty tasks, and it has felt very weird. Part of being blind with this is you just hear things in combat and the later Barracuda trials are definitely the two things that I've just heard people complaining about the most, to the point where it's kind of like I feel like I'm gonna wait to fully commit to those until
Yeah.
there seems to be some kind of either fix or a little bit of a rework there. They just seem like friction points. Because yeah, it was weird. I did some bounty tasks and it was kind of like, all right, let me get lined up right here. Ooh, I went too far. I got to back up a little bit and get just right.
Yeah.
Um, but the interface itself, I think, is my biggest complaint with Sailing. It is weird, and maybe that's just getting used to it. It's been like 3 weeks, so I would hope that the getting used to it part is over. But I there's a part of me, and I keep going back and forth in my head because it feels very un-RuneScape to have the sailing interface not a part of the inventory screen, like in your actual inventory, or is one of your whatever we call it, the menu or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
man, it annoys me a lot when I have to adjust something and I go to that and then I go to something else.
Yes.
I don't know if it would be better to have it completely separated, like maybe between your inventory and your chat box. That doesn't feel very RuneScapey. I don't know. I'm
It does
really
come up a
torn
lot
on
during
that.
salvage. Like when you're
Yeah,
you're dropping stuff, but then you need to assign someone to the hook, and then you're salvaging. It's
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, you're going back and forth. At some level, is that like I don't know, like do we just need to? There also is the argument like do we need to get good? She's like, oh, man, this prayer skill came out, but like now I can't eat food while I'm trying to change my prayers, man. It's just
That's exactly
so
what I was thinking while I was saying that. Like, yeah, like everything else in the game is all about switching your interfaces in your inventory really quickly. So
yeah,
I guess that is part of it. Um, and then, the other thing that I can't figure out, kind of what you're saying with combat. The other thing the friction point I've run into, and this is just being new and being blind with this, is I've had a hard time with just opening my mini map and trying to figure out where I'm going and running into a rock or whatever and just kind of being sitting there on a rock with my mini map open. So I don't know if that's a rune light thing that we'll get like arrows or something. I don't want the like lines. I guess that could be probably what rune light, they might already have that. I think they have that for the port tasks
yeah.
where it just puts a line on the ground, which I don't, I'm like a plug-in Andy, but I try not to go that far.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a little more natural way of doing it. Um,
Is there a
but I do find
transparent map
myself,
plugin? Do you know? Like where you
ooh,
when you pull up the map, like it can be like have like 50% opacity or something.
that's a great idea.
Because
Hold on, let me see if it's
if
just in the
there's
normal
not,
map.
I'm surprised. If there isn't, hey, someone that has a Patreon, go ahead and make one real quick so we can make
Yeah,
sure
that's a
you're
great
rewarded for
idea.
it.
Let's see, world map.
I know that what I'm thinking of. Like, there's a plugin for World of Warcraft that does that, where you pull up your map, and it's you can set the opacity on your map. That's essentially what the add-on for that what that World of Warcraft add-on is. But
That
um,
would be a clean solution to that. Yeah.
so no, I don't know. Like you said, you don't like the interface. I will say that the interface, the interface. I think they'll end up cleaning it up, especially if they want to add more to it. Maybe it's a meme right now. I kind of like the idea of it just because I want the combat to be reminiscent. I don't want ship combat to be this entirely different thing. I do want it to kind of to be old school coded. So like ship prayers sound like a meme, but I kind of want them, especially like dude, the repairing your boat. You're like I feel like when I'm fighting vampire krakens, I'm just hitting repair kits the entire time. So, but the thing is, okay, if we want ship prayers, do those go in your prayer book? Do those go on the ship interface? Because at that point, like if they go on the prayer book, then you can't use your prayers while also using the boat prayers. I do like the idea of them being in the like maybe you have to build a totem facility and then you can have protect whatever for your boat. So then when you're fighting vampire krakens, you can not take damage, and then you need to have like prayer fuel. I don't know whatever the whatever the boat
No, no,
equivalent would be.
I'm following, man. I'm liking this. They could even replace your prayer interface like they do with your combat and your sailing interface. They could have a different sail. Yeah, it could be like instead of prayers, it could be more naturalistic. Like, oh, put up these armor plates or something,
Oh
or
yeah,
these defenses. Have your crewmates do it or something. I could see that.
yeah.
Be
Speaking of
sick.
having your crewmates do something, dude. The have you tried to have a crewmate use a repair kit yet?
No, I haven't.
It's the most infuriating. So they will use it. They'll use a repair kit, and then they go back to being unassigned. What I would love to see for the repair, like on the repair interface, when you're on the boat interface, and then you have that repair section, like just let me assign a person to it, and then I can just click a button there, like kind of how like you assign a person to the sails, and then you can control the sails with those various buttons. Let me assign a person, and then just have a button where I can press it, and then it uses a repair kit. That seems like it would be much better because I know that they were saying like they wanted to have a like they were when they were developing they're like do we assign a person to repairs and then that person just automatically repairs. And they're like, well, no, that doesn't feel like RuneScapey because in RuneScape you have to eat from your inventory to repair.
Hmm.
So I feel like this is like a good compromise between what they're thinking, where like you want to have a one-to-one action where you click and you get a heal. I think you're still getting a click and a heal. It's just I don't have to do that annoying thing of like going to this because you click to assign it and then you have a sub menu of which person do you want to assign. just give me one click. That's all I want. That's, I think, probably my biggest thing for the interface right now, because the rest is just kind of theorizing what they could be doing in the future.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what I mean when I say that the honeymoon phase is worn off. Like the newness of it is worn off, and those little things that we do in RuneScape because we have to do everything 100,000 times over and over. Those little micro things that hopefully will be cleaned up over time, or we'll just get used to it. We've had about 50-50 of those throughout the years. Uh, different changes on things. Yeah, and those little things stand out, and yeah, it's I'm giving them a lot of grace. I've gone from the honeymoon period into the like hopeful optimism period of like, yeah, that'll get changed, and then it'll be 2030, and then we'll do like they did with Toa, it'll be 2030, and we'll get the big
Yep.
rework, and they'll fix everything we've been complaining about for 5 years.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm
but yeah, I give them grace, but I would love for all those little things to get cleaned up.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful that because it's new, they'll want to address it now. Because I know what sometimes happens is like there are some things like TOA, and right now with the Shadow, where like they know like whatever changes we make, it's going to be in the game in the future. There's also the case where like, hey, it's been in the game for this many years. Is it really fair to change it now? Is it part of the game? Should we keep it? That question comes up for me now. And my thing is like, imagine if we were just getting to the blowpipe changes now, because the blowpipe used to be way more bonkers than it is now. And my thought is like, this game's, at least in my, like, if the game keeps going at the rate it's at, it's going to be around for another 10 plus years. So I would much rather they change the things today. That way we don't have those unbalanced things compounding over the lifetime of the game, which takes away from the integrity of it. But
Well, and they definitely they've heard that feedback, and they have been doing that. They did the day one Yama nerf. They did the day one sailing nerf that they reverted, but it's like they definitely have the intention of like nipping it in the bud day one if they can. And yeah, hopefully focusing on it. And yeah, like I am hoping we do get that big like I don't know. I would almost think like maybe 3 month, 6 month, like big update of like, okay, we've been working on the like that's like the rework kind of stage. Like obviously probably every update for the next 3 months is going to have something, even if it just gets moved down to other changes. They're going to be tweaking sailing. But yeah, I'm hoping we get that like 3 month mark, 6 months mark of like, okay, we're rehauling some of these things to really make it clean, and yeah, get it in line with how I almost said all the other skills, but I hopefully better than the other skills, because
yes,
there's still a lot of little things in the other skills.
there is at least one skill that if you compared sailing to, it's better than. So there is
Yes.
at least one, and that is a subjective answer, depending on who you ask. But I think I'm in the same realm as you are. Like I am very hopeful as far as that they'll be able to change things. I don't think they're going to want to kick the can down the road just because they know that if they do, that worsens the player reaction that you get, where some players are like, oh my goodness, I just got here and now you're nerfing this thing. It makes it much more I guess understandable. People aren't as toxic, I suppose, if they get to it now as opposed to waiting. And then, of course, that reaction may start to inform what their response as developers is going to be if they fear it. But it's not just the case of like I'm hopeful for the balance changes and the QOL changes. I'm also hopeful. Just man, when I think of Raids 4, whether or not you enjoy sailing, you should still be thankful that sailing was developed. Because even if sailing's not used in Raids 4 at all, the tech that we have now, I was talking about this a little bit before we started recording. I mean, the idea where you can have two separate instances that are moving, like a dock and a boat, where I can be on the dock and the boat's going by and I can interact with what's on that boat. Crazy. One thing that made me lose my mind when the skill was being developed was where they had the ice barrage on a person on another boat as that other boat was going by. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be sick, just because of the implications of the different boss arenas that they can design. We don't need to have just boring squares and circles anymore. We can have boss encounters. What comes to my mind is there is a in RuneScape 3, there's a boss where it's in one of their raids where essentially you're fighting him on a platform that's in front of him, and then you get to hop on top of his head. And as a person that like enjoyed watching people play Shadow of Colossus back in the day, like the idea of hopping on a monster, so cool. I'm so down for
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. No, oh man, I don't. Yeah, I can't even respond to that because then we'll talk about raids 4 for 4 hours.
Yes.
I don't even want to go there.
Yeah, and maybe it's like it's not just raids 4. It's like also quests. Can have a whole bunch of very very cool, not necessarily a cinematic by any means, but like cool mechanics that you're doing during the quest. That I know that there's been some quests recently where like, man, like I want to do that again. When like the last Varlamore quest, the boss fights in there are really cool, as well as just going through and exploring that area for the first time. The area where Doom is. I thought that was a very cool sequence, and like I enjoyed it. It was like playing an adventure game. This is only going to add to that. So, I'm so excited. But enough
What's the?
about. Yeah, go ahead.
No. This is a complete random thing, but I have to get an answer on this because it's bothering me now. What's the quest where you have to carry something, and if you teleport, it will break? It's like a potion or something. I feel like it's one of the Ardoin
Is it
ones.
Biohazard?
I think it might be Biohazard. And you have to take it to. Do you have to take it to Varrock?
Yes.
Okay, so all that to say, I'm trying to think if sailing would help that. This is completely unrelated.
Well, already I think the meta is you take the charter ship, right? Isn't that a
Oh,
thing?
okay. You might be right. Yeah,
I think as
because
a
you can't
cute noob, I
teleport.
walked it across.
Oh,
But
I've definitely done that on like 3 different accounts.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess that probably would charter ship would be a good idea. Anyways,
yeah. Um, I I know that we're going to get to this later as we talk about the way that the skill is now like interdependent with other things in the game. There is, uh, like I believe it's Astral and Law rune crafting are now faster, more XP per hour, which is going to change the meta at various points. And I think that's great. I mean, especially as like, I don't think I hope they don't change it because runecraft is one of those skills that is notorious for people thinking is too slow. And I don't think this is necessarily busted. It requires you to go out and train another method, and this isn't something that's going to impact the the top end of the training methods that you have available to you for rune crafting. So very cool. Essentially, you can teleport to your boat when it's docked at Lunar Isle, and that gets you closer to the altar.
yeah, and
Anywho,
I'm gonna keep distracting you. You keep trying to go on to your next point. I'm gonna keep distracting you.
we will never
No,
make it past this.
I do think one thing that's definitely in common with the two of us that's been something I've been trying to kind of analyze as I've done sailing is we're both coming in it from a very high level person perspective, and you're doing these, you're at level 40 salvaging and you're getting stuff that you just drop without thinking. And it will be
Mm-hmm.
very interesting to I assume at some point I'll have a new account and sailing will be integrated with the rest of the game. And it'll be so interesting to be getting those sapphire rings and be like, "Ooh, I really don't want to drop this. This would be
Yeah,
great." And
yeah,
it'll be completely different when it's not just like, yeah, I need XP, drop everything. I don't need this right now. And it'll be cool to see those resources, which I don't see. I just can't see any world where you don't drop your salvaging stuff. I mean, besides like alking it, but like
yeah,
you're not going to bank it. That
yeah.
would completely ruin the whole salvaging. So it is kind of weird. But I will say I've tried to keep that in the back of my mind because I'm only 69 sailing right now, and so I still haven't even gotten most of my other stats are in the 90s on my iron, and so I've tried to be like, okay, yeah, if all of my stats were in the 60s right now, the stuff I'm like the items I'm getting, the gear I'm getting, the progression I'm getting, and the way like unlocking, like the way it interacts with the other skills, like oh, I'm just getting to the point where I have adamant items, and if my smithing was lower, I would just be getting to adamant, and so I've been trying to kind of keep that in the back of my mind to not be like, it's nice even on my iron. I have like 10,000 adamant bars in my bank, so it's like okay, well that's nothing, but it will feel very different if it's like oh man, I've just got to adamant and now I can actually smith adamant, and so I'm gonna go out and do that, and it does feel like that's all ingrained in it, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how that feels if I'm actually at that lower level.
Yeah, I am so glad you wanted to take us back because this is one of the things that I'm still upset with it. I've come to peace with it. Like I'd like for it to be different, but I understand why they haven't, especially as I've trained sailing more. As I was doing the salvaging, I was really upset that I couldn't put the salvage, like the items that I get from salvaging, I couldn't put in my cargo
Yeah,
hold.
yeah.
It's like just let me AFK less, right? Like take up those spots in my cargo hold. I'm totally okay with it. I just like there are some items that like I'd like to take back to my bank, and one of my least favorite things about fishing, I train fishing with barbarian fishing. I think it's really lame that you catch fish just to drop them on the ground. Like the flavor from that is lost on
Hmm.
me. I don't like it. I like when I get to feel like what I'm gathering is actually being useful instead of like, oh man, I'm just doing this for the XP. It kind of breaks the theme of the game and the beauty of it. Now there's beauty to RuneScape, and like I geek out over the metagaming as well. That was one of my favorite things about World of Warcraft as well. Was not like for me my favorite part of raid night was not going and clearing the raids. It was trying to theorize who should go in which raid group so that we can get the best buffs across the whole team. That was my favorite part about raid
Yeah.
night, as well as like getting my gear and whatnot. So like there's still that beauty of RuneScape that's there, and like, well, if I do my AFK fishing here and then I go do Temporos when I'm at home and I can actually play, like that's cool. But man, like catching fish, just drop them on the ground and then getting salvage just to drop it. I made up some site like some sort of like like narrative in my head, like, oh well, hey, I gotta pull it out of the water and then I gotta sort through it. Not everything you pull out of the water is gonna be good. You're gonna have some junk, right? So you should have to drop some of it. But it's also like with RuneScape, you have this idea, you gather, you go to a bank, and there are some islands where you can go and harvest resources. It'd be cool if you could harvest those resources, load up your cargo hold, sail your boat back to a bank and unload your cargo hold. I think that'd be so cool. Like thematically, that's just so rich where you're going out on this expedition. But that's not the way they balance things, right? And it makes sense where, like for an Iron Man, I bet you really want to get those rosewood seeds. That way you can go and plant them and have more easily accessible rosewood to chop, because the rosewood that's on the island, there's no bank there. So I understand it. They balanced around it. Salvaging, you can totally like if they let you if they let you keep your red topaz and you could take it back to a bank, the market for red topaz would totally plummet. But the fact that like everyone's dropping it because you're so far out from a bank at the merchant shipwrecks, it I want it to be different, but I understand they've balanced all of the skill around not being able to put it in. So fine, I accept.
All right, hear me out, hear me out. So, what if you could get like you just have like a big sack, right? And you can deposit, 28 items into this sack, and then you tell your crewmate, like a butler, like take this back to the bank, and your crewmate just hops in the water, he puts the like rope to the sack in his mouth and just starts swimming. And it takes like 30 minutes for him to come like to take it and come back. So you're out of crewmate, so it's less AFK, but it's like a way to bank your items when you get 26 good items.
You know what? They're gonna come out because I know they mentioned they were gonna have a bigger boat, and then they cut it just because it was kind of unintuitive anyways. They're gonna have a bigger boat where you have a dinghy and they don't even swim. They just get in their rowboat and they just kind of go back.
Oh, there you go.
And that dinghy is gonna be awesome because you yourself as the player can even get in the dinghy, because then you can get in those stupid charting spots that require you to have your raft
Oh,
instead of your boat.
ooh, that would that's actually apart from this the whole banking thing, that's actually would be really nice. Yeah, to have a little rowboat on the side that you can go out and it could even be like like cruise liners where you have to like dock way out in the sea and then you have to take your little rowboat in to charter in like that's the only, you can't bring your boat in the
Yeah. Oh
but
yeah.
I
Like certain
but like
islands where it's too shallow, so you actually can't get up to
yeah,
it with your boat.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know
But
what
like
mechanics would
unironically
require that, but
the idea of your crewmate like being gone for like 20 minutes so he can bank, but you lose that AFK-ness of it. I kind of like that. I mean, I just thought of
I
it,
like
but
that
that
trade-off.
could be interesting. Yeah, it'd be an interesting like way because yeah, I thought like day one or day two, whenever I got to salvaging at Barracuda, I thought I was like I had this giga brain idea of I took cosmic and water runes in my ring of suffering, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna get a full inventory of sapphire rings. I'm gonna enchant them and put them in my suffering, and I'm just gonna get the most pimped out suffering. I'll never have to worry about recoils again. and then I did it for like an hour, and I was like, this is too much work. I'm just gonna go back to dropping them.
Yeah.
It's not
And
worth it.
I do like that you mentioned, like, because I'm doing it as a max main, you're doing it as an Iron Man that's progressed past the point where this stuff is useful. I did joke with my friends when I got, was it like an a rune sword or a rune scimitar even? I can't remember quite what the drop tables were. I'm trying to think back, like, 2 weeks now or 3 weeks back
Yeah.
now. But I was like, oh man, I just got my rune scimitar skip, guys. Go do sailing on an iron. It's totally worth it. So I'm sure there's going to be so much stuff that because no one's writing guides for Ironman right now, and how Ironman how sailing can fit into that early Ironman meta. I
Yeah.
definitely
Oh,
think
for
there's going to
sure.
be some stuff, even if it's just teleport jewelry that you get from. Oh gosh, what was it? Is it? There's one that gives you a whole bunch of bracelets and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's the large salvage.
Mm,
You start getting the bracelets.
yeah, I also
But
appreciate
yeah.
I appreciate that
Oh,
there's also the collection log items at the like each one has a collection log one. I
mhm.
just thought that was while we're on the topic of salvaging again. How much of this podcast episode is just going to be talking about salvaging?
Dude, I mean, it's the. I mean, it's carrying sailing like this other stuff, and I think we're gonna get into it next. This, the other stuff with sailing is good, but it's just, yeah. I mean, the people, I was calling out the people earlier who, say people want to play RuneScape without playing RuneScape. But man, when you give a decent AFK method to a skill, that's where people are gonna flock, because it is just, it's legitimately sad, but it's just true how good life feels when you can have RuneScape
Yeah,
progressing and you feel like this freedom of there's only a few things in the game like redwoods and stars, and I do think salvaging has reached that tier of like I can actually step away from my computer, I can go reintroduce myself to my wife, I can like clean my room while like I'm still progressing in RuneScape, and it it's sad and pathetic, but it's true. And so, like, yeah, salvaging is kind of the headline of
yeah,
sailing, and it just kind of is what it is.
it is nice. I'm 100% with you, and it's not just like it feels nice because we have this number going. RuneScape progress is real. Dang it, I feel like I
Yeah.
am more proud of getting an Inferno cape, my Infernal cape, because I cleared Inferno. I still can't get that right. I'm more proud of that than I am like completing my highest degree. Like I don't.
Yeah.
That was I went through the motions and got that done, but I sweated through getting my cape and quiver. And it is nice knowing that, like, man, like I'm having my day is just another boring day. My projects that I'm getting done, I've been struggling all day to find the solution at work, but hey, I've gotten like 300k sailing XP. Dang it! So this is still a good day.
Yeah, I mean, just on a side note, like you talk about Inferno Cape, like it's Infernal Cape, you rubbing off on me. No,
Oh,
no, but it's like, if you do want to actually make it like a real accomplishment, like think about it, like that is an accomplishment that no matter how hard it was, you chose to do it and you had no reason to do
hmm
it, and like all those other things, like yeah, your real life stuff, your job stuff, it's like that is stuff that you kind of had to do, and it was you felt like you had to do it, and that pushed you, gave you extra motivation. But man, that Infernal Cape, you did not have to. You
yeah,
absolutely did not have to do that, and you still pushed through.
yes. Um, a gamer marathon. We did it.
Yep.
So let's talk about actually training the skill. When you start off, you can't even do salvaging. So you have the cargo. What did you think of cargo? And have you done any cargo since you hit level 30 or even level 15 for when you unlock your first salvaging spot?
Yeah, I did actually. I really enjoyed the cargo tasks, and it wore off really quickly. That grind to 30, I think it took 5 hours for me.
Mm-hmm.
I called in sick on day one of sailing, and I was actually sick, luckily, because I'm too honest to call in sick when I'm not sick. So I was just sick enough to call into work, but not sick enough to not play RuneScape. So it was kind of perfect. But yeah, I think that was the first 5 hours was just getting to 30, and that's what everybody was saying. I was in Discord with my clan like all day, and it was just like, oh, just got to get to 30. Just and I got 30. Oh my god! Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
The XP just skyrockets when you get
it
to
does.
30. And it's just like, and yeah, it does, and that is something I feel like is going to be addressed. Although I did think it was really interesting that post from Mod Kieran where he said that one of their goals was to make sailing a more even progression instead of what most skills are, which is like 1 to 50 in an hour. And then obviously 92 to 99 is like
Yeah.
100 hours. So if that is, and it kind of feels like that is more accurate,
Hmm.
the later levels. But anyways, the port tasks, I really enjoyed them, and I still want to enjoy them,
Hmm.
but I think a lot of people have critiqued the XP rates or the rewards and all that kind of stuff. I think the biggest thing for me, and I once again kind of, I'm still like blind and I'm just kind of doing things based off of vibes, but it hasn't felt to me like what I would think, which is the longest you can possibly go should be the most XP. Like in like going like I was doing somebody told me that Port Roberts to Civitas was like broken. So I did it. That was my post 30. It was, I think I was like 49 or something, like before a milestone. So I wanted to just knock it out really quick. And so I was just going Port Roberts to Civitas, just back and forth. And it was, I liked the XP from it, but it just felt lame, just like I was handing these off to the closest ones. I think it would have been cooler if it was like, oh, you got to go from Lunar Isle to Port Sarim or something, and like if it was objectively that the further you go, in relation to how long it takes you, it's like way more XP, and that should be the goal with the port task is how far you can go, and like if you can optimize your route to stop at as many places as possible. And I
Yeah.
I might just be fully, I might just be fully wrong with this in the sense that maybe that's exactly how it is. It hasn't felt that way just intuitively from not looking up guides and stuff,
Hmm.
but the pick up and deliver part of it I do think is really cool, and it feels sailing-y to me. I like that, you have to get out in the water and you have to steer your boat. It's not like automated or anything. And it can get repetitive like everything else in this game. But I just didn't feel that sense of like, oh man, I've unlocked this new port. So now I can go even further. It was just like, okay, I'm going to go to this port and I'm going to find the closest one because that feels like the best XP rate. But correct me if I'm wrong on that.
So Trevog has been my number one source for getting XP rates on things. It looks like over 200k is possible from like the top level cargo, which is kind of interesting because I believe it's what 215k ish is where Gwyneth Glide tops out at after the changes that they made. So I mean, you're for not being as active as you are at Gwyneth Glide, you seem to get compensated. There's a method called ABA that people are using to achieve those cargo XP rates, and it's largely based on you're doing a certain route that's right in the sea that you're talking about, where you're essentially going um, up and down. I think Lunar Isle is involved, Fremenic is involved, where essentially you're picking up the cargo along the way as you do this loop, where you essentially always have a delivery. And I think that's probably going to be the best. And I'm glad that it's the best because I like the idea of having a really long delivery where you're trying to find ones along the way. But man, if you weren't finding ones along the way, I think I think that would feel really bad if you're just kind of sitting on your boat, just waiting to get to this place that's a really long ways away.
Mhm.
But I say that I watched the video that Trevog did, but as you said, like I don't it to me the skill expression with cargo tasks, there isn't a lot of micro skill expression. Like it's not like you're prayer flicking. Like it's not and it's not like the trials where you're having to do those one tick turns in order to make sure that you're picking up your crates while still maintaining momentum. Instead, the skill comes from like the meta stuff, like knowing that okay, I
Mhm.
know that I have a really good shot at getting this task at this port, so I have this task at this port, so I'm actually going to teleport to this port first, start there because I got this task from wherever, but I'm going to this other port because it's actually a task where I pick up the cargo at some other port and then take it to the port that I picked up the task at. So you actually teleport there, teleport your boat to you, and then start there. I know that there's a whole bunch of strategy. It's just the strategy is kind of done beforehand and on the meta level, which kind of fits the vibe of doing cargo, where like you have this time thinking between ports about your strategy. And if you're able to kind of get the solve done, if you will, before you get to the cart to the board where you know what task you want, and you get lucky enough to where you get the task that you know you need from that board, that you're able to achieve those rates that Treyblob was reporting. So, and it's I think it was the best way to start off the skill. I mean, I think if they were to have started off the skill with salvaging, I mean, imagine if you're playing this skill called sailing, but you're just sitting on a boat, you know. It
Yeah,
was
it
nice
gets
that
you
they
out on the
started off with
water.
that. Yeah.
I think I think I would echo a lot of the complaints of by the time you get to level 30, you never want to do port tasks again. And um,
That's where I'm at.
it, yeah, yeah. But it's a cool idea, and I'm interested to see. It's funny. I wonder how much the J mods have to just sit there and bite their tongue because people are complaining about the XP rates when they know there's a meta that hasn't been, like they
Mm,
know like, okay, people are gonna find this. We just gotta give them time, and they're gonna realize what this could actually be if they optimize it and stuff. We just gotta let them, or they're sitting there saying, I know there's a way they're gonna break this, and or let's not give them a bunch of let's not bump up the XP rates until we see what some of these
yeah.
these gamers can do with this.
I will say they did bump the XP rates. I think everything above level 40 they bumped by 15% from cargo tasks. Um,
Nice.
so I think even they thought it was undertuned. And I love, it's not just the case that they're good developers, they're also humble. I mean, when they see that a change needs to be reverted or a change needs to be made, they go ahead and make it. I also like that for cargo tasks, I may end up doing them because they are the meta way to get the pet. So if you weren't lucky enough to get the pet, like people are reporting, getting it at these very low levels. I think some people like reporting getting it at level 1, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, it's the meta way to do it. There are 2 ports. It's one on Varlamore and then one back on the main island. I'm going to get my map up here and look what I'm talking. Where you just go back and forth between those 2 ports. You're super likely to be able to keep getting those 2 tasks. It's actually not on the mainland. It's Sunset Coast and Alderaan. Those 2 ports, they're super close to each other, and you can just do cargo deliveries between the 2 of them. And I think it's on rate like a 30 to 40 hour pet grind, which I'm super excited to do cargo tasks then, because that means that like instead of for bingo, we always have a bingo tile that's for getting a pet. Instead of going and doing Scurious for 30 to 40 hours, I can instead go to a skilling method, like actually doing a skilling method to try to get the pet tile. That sounds very exciting to me.
Well, as a bingo designer in our clan, you're not supposed to go after the pet tile. You're supposed to get it passively while you're grinding the other tiles.
Yeah, but you always, I think it was the past 2 bingos we've had to go for it. Like we have every other tile cleared, and that's one of our last ones. And we're like, well, I guess we go AFK Sarachnis and and hope we get
What?
it
That's
because we don't have
insane.
any other
That's
AFK tiles.
insane. That's always like day one. The guy who signed up and said he's only going to play 1 hour pulls a pet in the first hour.
Yeah,
Wow, that's surprising. Um,
I man, I could go. I've never been the designer of a bingo board, but man, I have some critiques. Okay, I have taste, darn it, and I think it's good. I also have like some design theory that I think some people ignore, but that's not for here. That's for somewhere else,
oh
I
man,
suppose.
yeah, I could go on and on about that as well.
But and man, I'm so happy that, sorry, Elena. Okay, this is the segue to talking about this. Okay, Elena, she
Mhm.
designed sailing. Now she's free. She can put more dev time into the bingo tech that she was
Oh
working on and then used
please!
for
Oh
Gridmaster.
my goodness!
I can't wait.
Please.
It's gonna be so awesome when that comes out, because I imagine like they're at the point where they tested it essentially with Gridmaster. It is coming to the game. It's just a matter of time. I love it. I love it. You don't just
Please.
do cargo at first. You also do sea charting. Have you done all your? No, you haven't done all your sea charting yet. You're not level
No, I
87.
haven't. No,
Have
I
you?
haven't. I haven't gone out of my way to do any of the sea charting. I have experienced all the different types of it, and I do it. Obviously, I try to do it anytime I like pass it, but I definitely haven't done the like. Okay, I need to go to the wiki and get my list up of everything I have left in these areas. Um, but I have done it as it's available or as I've seen it.
I think this is probably where I have the most critiques, or at least
Oh,
I
interesting.
shouldn't say the most. They're not like the heaviest, but maybe quantifiably, this is where I'm the most nitpicky, because I think this is where the skill sailing, like it is all about exploration in my mind. That's where I see a lot of the flavor, and that's what this whole portion is about. And there is, again, I said like my favorite part about World of Warcraft wasn't necessarily the encounters; it was the metagaming. What I loved during those first 30 levels was like, okay, I'm gonna look for a cargo tasks that takes me to an area that I haven't been yet because I think I'll run across more charting stuff. Um, and maybe that's why I was able to get to level 15, by the time that I went to work, right? It's because like every time that I was out doing a delivery, I was looking for something to chart. I also like, I was also, being the typical beta tester where I knew where some of the charting locations were from testing. So I was going and hitting those up. But I broadly, I love sea charting. It's also one of those things that's sad. That's like it's kind of like the quest cape. Once you get all the quests done, you can't do the activity anymore. So like for sea charting, you're incentivized to get it done, and the earlier the better because once you get it all done, you get that 2.5% XP boost. But now I can't chart seas anymore, which I guess I'm excited for when they do the seas that they have on the map that you can't go into yet. I guess I'm excited for when we get to go do those because I'll get to do more. But I think the magic was kind of stolen, because of the way that they designed some of them. Just the basic charting. I guess we could start there. Like you literally click the object, and then that's it. Some of these had awesome flavor text, but I wonder how many people like totally missed the awesome flavor text. Like there's the boat that sunk just off of Tutorial Island called the Salty Grouper. I didn't know that was a pun on Group Ironman until like I saw the flavor text, and I was like, oh, like they were just about to set sail after they made their group, and they never made it off the island or something like that. And I was like, okay, like that's that's pretty good. I like that. Um, I think it's pretty neat. I just wish they put more of them in the game. I wish that there were more of them like that you had to actually explore instead of just you're sailing by and you see something. There were some that I missed. I know that the plugin wasn't out yet in the starter area, so when I was going and completing all of them, I had to go back. Like there was one to the east of Crandor Isle that I had just like, I didn't see it. I didn't mouse over it, I suppose, and I missed it. So I had to go all the way back and do that one. So I guess that's cool that I missed it and had to go back for it. But like I wish that there was some like deep in the cave where the frost dragons are, or where the lava strike worms are. It would have been cool to have to actually explore a little bit more to do those ones. And then that kind of goes into the spyglass wherever there's those little shining areas, either on land or on sea. I'm super happy they did them on land as well. You just click the spyglass. I don't know if you have much to say about the basic charting because it is just pretty basic, clicking an item. I do want to hear what you have to say about the spyglass.
Oh man. The worst thing about the spyglass, and I haven't done one for like a few days, and I don't know if it's been fixed yet. So it's a RuneLite bug. It's not a RuneScape bug, but whenever I do the spyglass, it still renders like the outline of my character. I think I have a plugin that like gives a light outline to my
Oh
character,
yeah.
and it still shows that in the middle of my screen every time I do the spyglass, and it drives me crazy. Um, but that aside, yeah, the spyglass it's weird. Some of the things you're like looking in on, it is funny, going back to kind of that earlier conversation about how far we are in the game. There's some of this stuff I'm spyglassing that I'm like, oh well, yeah, I'm looking at Ape Atoll.
Yeah.
I've had an epic saga there already, and I'm like looking at it from the ocean. Okay. Um, and then there's other stuff where it's like, why am I looking at this? This is a little creepy right now. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of the same as the basic charting. It's just kind of something you do and you look at it and you're underwhelmed, I feel like.
Yes. Yeah. Or you're just like, get this over
And
with already.
yeah, well, and I think the C charting overall is like it's the same as the clue score problem to me, where the second I saw it, I'm like, oh, there's going to be a plugin and a checklist, and that's all this is going to turn
Yep.
into. It, and and the same with like puzzles and like Toa puzzles, and like with clue scrolls, it's just it's it's something that us RuneScape players are just our own worst enemy, and we're gonna know that it's more efficient to just get the answers. And definitely when we get down to the diving
Yeah.
ones, it's like as much as I would love to get my sextant out and do a clue scroll the right way and have this like really fulfilling and fun experience,
Yes.
I can't help myself. I know the answer's right there,
Yes.
and So yeah, the sea charting, that's what I mean when I say I've been doing them as they pop up, but I know that there's going to be a day where I'm like, okay, let's just knock these out. Um, let's pull up the checklist, and the wiki's gonna I'm gonna be able to filter out the ones I've already done, and it's gonna just leave the ones. And thank God for that plugin that unhighlights the ones you've already done, because
Yeah.
I clicked on some of those so many times
Yep.
day one.
Yes. Same.
It drove me crazy.
Yes. It's like, oh, like, and I get a little upset because I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a little batch of experience here, and then I click it, and I'm like, oh man, because I
Yeah.
already got that batch of experience. It's so sad. But
But
if
yeah,
if every
the
spyglass was like you know the cow killer moment from Animal Magnetism, right, where there's that little
mhm,
cutscene.
mhm.
If every
Yeah.
spyglass was one of those, I would be over the moon. And maybe this is another, like, you have combat could be an argument as to why this may be rushed. You could also have, like, maybe they did have more planned for the spyglasses, because some of them, like, they're not even moving. They're just sitting looking at one spot. And I'm like, this is useless.
Yeah.
But
I can see the impulse from a thematic standpoint, but yeah, it does just kind of feel like you're spying on people in their house sometimes, and
who's that
you know,
freak over there?
yeah, and it's RuneScape, so I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get XP, but
Yeah,
I'm not gonna like it.
yeah. The adventurer is whatever the adventurer's personality is. I don't know if I would want that person outside of an asylum in the real world. They are
Yeah.
just wild. You also have the crowbar. Those were neat. I love the quest to unlock it. Like the idea of we're helping this guy get this delivery. Oh man, I can't open this delivery. We need a key. You get the key. You find out the key is a crowbar, and then you use the crowbar. And like thematically and also game design wise, I love it. Like you use the crowbar to open up the place where you get an infinite supply of this item. I just think that was
Yeah.
I loved it. It was so good. Um, what I don't like though
Everything else.
is everything else about them. Like
Yep.
the this whole piece of content, sea charting, is about exploration, and the crowbar just takes you out of it. Those drinks, there are some that legitimately just take you out of the ocean. There are some that like make you feel like you have to get out of the ocean. I was poisoned by one. If I was a lower level player that didn't have 99 HP, I probably would have had to teleport out. Instead, I just kept on, going. And I think I went to go do like the Jubbly Drive. And I was like, well, if I get low, I'll just teleport out, I guess. But someone else might not have that, so that would have taken them out. You just get teleported back to land. I think that there are some that are really good, like the one where it's like, yeah, you drink it and you go blind for a little bit because you drank booze from the ocean. What did you think would happen? Like that is awesome.
Yeah.
I love those. Like there are some that are really good, but I think on net, sadly, the crowbar does take away.
Yeah, I'm so my like not knowing what I was supposed to do with those and kind of like opening up the in-game sailing guide and looking through what I was going to unlock. It seemed very obvious to me that I was getting these drinks from the ocean and then I was going to get a keg later so I would be able to get drinks. I would find drinks that gave me
Ooh,
whatever kind of boost and then that would be used for my keg. And then I found
yeah.
out later that the keg is completely unrelated and it's different drinks that you buy and I was like, so what was the point of these drinks? And I don't know if there is, and I don't know if any part of anything has been found out about those drinks, but is there any point to any of them anywhere in the game? Like I don't
They
I'm
are
just confused by their existence. It's just a lot of them just feel like a troll.
they are one slice of the many slices you need to get your charting done. That is
That's it. Yeah.
that is it. Yeah. Um, man, like
That's so weird.
yeah, I think it would have been cool to have at least one of those, like at least a handful of them be good things, because all of them are punishments. All of them are things that take you off of what you were doing, and there needs to be friction in content. Otherwise, it's either, I wouldn't say that it's unfun, like it's not making you unhappy, but like you're not getting any engagement out of it. But this is like it's not even friction. It's just like roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, setback after setback after setback. Having to get back on my boat, having to, okay, like where was I? Where was I going? What dock is my boat even at? Because now I'm in the middle of the Caribbean desert for some reason. What's going on? It was just, I was like, I'm fully immersed in sailing, and then I'm just ripped out of it. Wasn't too big of a fan of it. Um, oh well. Like the parts that are good are good. There are some that are fun, but I feel like there are way more that are bad than are even just a nothing burger. So very sad, but
Yeah, it would have been. I think baseline it should have just been like, oh, if you get 10 drinks of this type, you unlock this type of
mhm.
drink that you can put in
Yeah,
your egg. Just you get drinks from the sea, and you have something on your boat that gives you drinks. It just seems like that was obvious, and I'm so surprised that those aren't related.
yeah. It like thematically, they're totally there, and I think the one of the biggest downsides of the crowbar is that it encouraged me to not do my charting naturally. The
Yeah.
drinks were one of the first reasons that I was like, okay, like I'm done with these. I'm just gonna do all my charting later when I can hit 78 sailing and I have all the charting available to me. The crowbar was one of those reasons. Of course, there's more to come when we get to talk about diving, but a lot of people complained about the current duck. I'm not sure if I don't have my britches in too much of a wad. I think the current duck's not the worst. What do you think of the current duck?
It makes me angry from an XP standpoint because I actually have to do something. It's not a one click, you know. No, it's I mean, yeah, it feels much more natural than some of these other ones. It is a little kind of a little mini game. Um, and yeah, you have to do some actual sailing. It always like 100% of the time I see a duck on my way to something else, and the duck will always go the opposite
Yep.
direction, take
Yep.
me back the way I came,
Yeah.
not where I wanted to go. But yeah, no, I mean I don't hate it either. You know, it's just it's one of those things. It's kind of like random events where it's like, okay, sandwich lady, this I'm gonna find out in one tick if I need to interact with you or not. But Quizmaster, I have to go through. You know, I have to go through the song and dance before I know if I care or not. And that's kind of in the same vein.
Yeah.
But for what it is, yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. I think it's you mentioned earlier players essentially you referenced this phrase that people say of players will unoptimize the fun out of a game. And I think
Yeah.
that's where we're at with people and their attitude towards the current duck. And I think it's only worsened by two things. It's worsened by Rune Light because you can know where the current duck's going to land, and you actually don't have to be around the current duck. You can just go to where you know the current duck's going to land, sit there and wait. So then you as the player, you're annoyed, not because you're like, oh man, where's this thing going? Oh man, it's going the other way. You're annoyed because you're like, oh, where is this thing? It's taking so long. My goodness, what's going on? You're annoyed because it's too long of a wait. And I almost wonder if Jagex was like, man, like we don't, this is the second thing I was saying, we don't want players to be annoyed that it's too hard to follow this thing or that it's too slow or that they went away from it or like it went too fast, that we're going to give grace here and we're just going to let people get as far away from it, find it wherever they find it, or even go to the place beforehand after plugins are out and let them sit. I almost wonder if that's made it feel worse because then it's like, it's what I was mentioning earlier where there is no friction. You're just bored.
Yeah, and I do think that it's 2025 and we've done incredible things with video games, but I it just doesn't feel like we've still have not been able to make following something or somebody fun and not like the most tedious or like it always feels like the duck is too slow for your max speed and too fast for your like your slow speed, and so you're always changing it, and I don't know, it just following, follow quests, all that kind of stuff never it just always feels like gritting your teeth.
It's one of those things where I think the only way to make it fun is to is to not have it. Because one of the things too is like like with botting, it's been there since the inception of MMORPGs where there's demand for gold, so people are going to be willing to pay for it. The only way to remove it, like if everyone were Iron Man, this isn't true because RuneScape players are degenerates that still find a way to service things. But like if the botting problem would be not as bad if everyone was an Iron Man. So the only way to get rid of something is to just remove it, right? Okay, you want to get rid of people buying gold, just remove the ability to trade items, which is, hold on, tangent. This is a hot take, right? One of the things that made people quit, sure, evolution of combat. Before that, though, a lot of people quit because they removed wilderness and free trade. One of the most popular ways to play this game and as an Iron Man. And what do you do as an Iron Man? What content do you not do? It's the wilderness. And what can you not do as like the trademark of your account is not trade? Anyways, I don't know. Maybe my point's not being made clear there, but
you lost me.
so Andrew Gower, right? People were stealing credit cards. He removed free trade. People couldn't trade each other. I think it was like what
Mhm.
2007 or something. And now people are just like, I like the game better when I can't trade. Whereas back in the day, people were like, oh my gosh, I can't trade. I'm quitting the game.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
got it. Okay, I'm following
So
now. Yeah. So I am an Iron Man, and I support removal of free trade. Support removal of main accounts. I think the game would be better off, but that's going down the rabbit. That's a deep dark rabbit
well,
hole. That's like one of those. That's like a that's one of those things, you can't really talk about it.
that's a red hot nuclear take that I would love to talk about later. Um, but no, current duck. It's just I don't know if they can make it better. But maybe if they made it worth more XP, there you go. That would have been nice. Maybe then people will be like, man, I really want this thing. Come on, get here, I'm so excited. Um,
Maybe if you complete all of them, you can have a duck pet.
oh, there you go. Or a transmog. Man, I hate transmogs. I'm not a fan. Okay, that's my red hot nuclear take.
Ooh,
But
interesting.
it's just it's not all transmogs. Really, it's like, oh yeah, my beaver can turn into a fox. That's a thing. Like that bothers me because
Yeah,
it's not even the same type of animal. But oh well.
that's fair. Yeah, no, I got you there. I just want to be able to have both of them in my house.
Yeah, dude, that's an update. Where's that at? Jeez. What about diving? So if the pry bar and the potions were what made me, I guess the grogs, not the potions, were what made me not want to do the charting naturally. The second one was the diving. The clues are just so cryptic that I'm like, I'm just gonna be using the wiki for all of these anyways, and later the RuneLight plugin. Like, what's the point in me trying to figure these out now when I'm just always going to be going to a second tab, taking myself out of the game, taking myself out of the adventure? Um, if these exist, I'm just going to wait till level 78. That was uh, that was my another reason why I didn't like doing the charting naturally, was just because again I was being taken out of the game because of these. Have you been able to solve any one of these without using the wiki or the plugin?
So, my first 2 days of sailing, no, my first 4 days of sailing, I did every single moment of it on stream. And so I have evidence that I tried so hard to fight it, because it's like I knew the answer was on the wiki, and I was just like, no, 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 this is new content. I have the rest of my life to figure this out. I'm gonna sit here, and I tried so hard, and I was just, and it's the kind of like the most frustrating riddles where when you do look up the answer, you're like, oh well, I never would have thought of that, and every single one of them was like that, and I was like, what? Like the one, it was like. Oh man, there was something about give daddy something,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, okay, so it's like I'm thinking of like troll items or
Yep.
something."
His dad.
And
Yeah.
like yeah, yeah, and no, it was something completely unrelated. It was like a play on words, and oh,
Papaya.
I yeah, that's yeah. It's once again, it's the same thing I was saying earlier with the clue scrolls and stuff. It's like, and this has always been my take about Toa puzzles, is if you make it to where people have to think about it for longer than 5 seconds, they're going to get a plugin, they're going to optimize the fun out of it, and it's going to be just a waste of time all around. And clue scrolls are the same way. And I hate that that's the reality, but it is the reality. So yeah, the diving, I I'm really happy for the people that did it and figured out and are fulfilled
Yes.
by that.
Yeah.
And maybe it's worth it to have it in the game for those
Uh-huh.
people. Same as the crack the clue events,
Yes, I was about to say
like that type of
that's my
stuff.
cope theory. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
because the mods have to know this, right? They have to know that this is just going to be RuneLight content, like clues are, right?
yeah. It might
Absolutely.
even do they have Clue Helper on the main game? It's not even RuneLite content
Yeah,
anymore.
that's
Clue Helper.
true. Hold on. Yeah.
they
Oh
just they
goodness.
just gave up on that one.
Yep.
Um, Yeah, and it is, kind of like we were saying with the current duck compared to the other ones. It is relatively fast. So, you get your answer and you're good, but the people who want to take their time and figure it out, good for them. Those YouTube series, the unguided YouTube series,
Oh, good luck,
they're
Mad
going to
Susan.
struggle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck to all of them.
Good luck.
It, I was excited. I was really excited when I first saw it. It's like, oh, they're going to have a riddle. And it was like, oh, these are, and I do really like the idea of everything relates to an item in the game.
That's cool.
So that you have, it's not just like a open typing. That was a cool idea, and I wish it was easy enough that dumb people could figure it out, because then they would engage in it and not feel like they had to go to the
Yeah.
wiki. But as it is, they were probably actual good riddles, which means that 99% of us, including me, are
Yeah.
just gonna skip it.
Or it's the case where we came across the hard one, we vowed to never try again, and I know at the end I wasn't even reading the puzzles. I was just looking at RuneLight at the corner of my screen. Okay, typing in that item, enter, and just
Yeah,
so even if there were some that were quote unquote fair, I wasn't doing them.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, once you have a taste of that, looking something up on the wiki, which we probably all had when we were like 10 years old, way back in the day, it's really hard to. Man, it's just we are our own worst enemies with this game.
yeah, no, I don't know if you've seen the clip of the kids being told like, hey, if you let this marshmallow sit here for a minute, I'll be back, and then you can have 2 marshmallows. That was me day of release with sailing. I was like, I know the wiki has this, but I know I'll feel really good if I can figure it out on my own. And even still, I'm eating that marshmallow, man. I am getting on the wiki and I am looking up the answer right now.
Yeah.
Oh well. I think I did maybe the first one where it was like an apple pie recipe, and I was like, what one? I've got like the 3 items. What one item am I forgetting? And that just made me feel bad. It's like, here I am, thousands of hours in this game, and I can't even remember a basic recipe that I've probably never made. But oh well. Last one, also a stinker for me when it comes to charting, the portable weather station. Oddly enough, this one doesn't come from a quest, right? Diving, I guess, technically comes from a quest because you get it from Recipe for Disaster, the pirate subquest. But the portable weather station, you just kind of go to the troll, you get it. And then the mechanic, honestly, really cool. I'm actually curious right now, both for you and for anyone that's listening, do you actually know what the mechanic is? Because I think there's a large amount of the player base out there that just has no idea how this thing actually works. They're being told to go to a tile and to use it on that tile. I think the mechanic's actually pretty neat. So before I go on, go ahead and like comment or something saying it like what the mechanic is if you do know. So good for you. But what it is like it takes you in a circle, and I was so confused during the beta. It takes you in a circle, and the idea is you go to the center of that circle, and that's where you use it. It's so unforgiving. It's literally one tile that you have to use this thing on. So I have the help of the wiki, and I still feel like I'm wrong. Like, I think the wiki's wrong because I'm using this item on the tile that I'm supposed to be using it, and I'm not getting it checked off, getting so frustrated. Where, again, this is another one, like, I would do it on my own, but it's so punishing that, like, it's so sad because all of these charting things are meant to, like, get you immersed and make you feel like you're exploring, when in reality, what most of them were doing for me was the opposite, right? I felt more immersed doing my cargo tasks or going to the next salvaging spot or going to find the monster that I'm going to fight. I felt like that was exploration. And then anytime I would do something that's charting, it's taking me out of the game. Soapbox over on those, I guess. But I would want to hear, like, did you solve any portable weather stations on your own?
I actually haven't done any. I've reached the level to actually do them after I kind of had like resigned myself to just wait and like
Yeah.
fully do all the charting once I was gonna fully do all the charting. And so yeah, I know I unlocked it, and I was like, hey, that I will say I really like the meteorologist. That is, I
Yes.
love some stupid wordplay.
Meteorologist.
That's yes, that is about all I can comment on it.
So is a logist like a profession? Because the thing about trolls, right, is that they are named after what they first date, right? I don't, unless it's like a British thing, I don't know what a logist is. Like, is a logist a thing? Like, is it just a skilled person? Is that what a logist is? Like, a biologist is a person that's like skilled and studied in, like natural things. That's probably not the correct definition of biology. What would that be? Like natural science, I suppose. Because anatomy is more specific than biology even. Anyways, like, is a logist just a skilled person in, like, generally speaking? Because I guess that makes sense. Like a meaty, skilled person who just has aura, I guess that is what the troll ate. Did you know that about trolls?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think is it the I think it's the first thing they tried to eat, maybe, or is it the first thing they first? I don't know. That's definitely a semantic thing. Sorry, I was looking up logist, and yes, it is not a word on its own. So they definitely sacrificed lore for the pun, which I respect.
Yeah, no, committing to the bit, dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
Uh,
No, I want to hear from you when you do complete one, if you can complete it
yeah.
on your own, because like it tells you which direction to go, and it's telling you like which way like the winds are blowing. So like it'll take you in a circle. And I was super confused in the beta because it was taking me around a circle. If I look at my map here, it was like it ended up being, it's the first one you do. Many of you who have probably already done this. It's between Crandor and Karamja, or it's between Crandor and Intrana. I think it's between Crandor and Intrana, but it was taking me in a circle around those two islands. And I was like, when's this thing going to end? I assumed it was like a meter that I had to fill up or something, but like you keep going in that circle and you can narrow that circle down until eventually you're in the eye of it. And that's when you get like the objective complete. But the eye is literally like the middle tile. It's just so unforgiving. Not a fan. Like I would know where the location was, where the tile was. I feel like I'm standing on it and I still wouldn't get it. But sea charting. I think the idea was there. I think the execution sadly wasn't it. And just due to the nature of it, even if it was really good anyways, it still would have just been checklist content, as you said.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that, they definitely, when they, first were coming up with ideas for sailing, they definitely had an underline under exploration, and there's like, how can we make exploration happen in this game? And that was definitely their attempt at it. I think that it's an interesting thing. It feels different from a lot of other things. And at the end of the day, I think it gives around like 700K or something when you do all of it. So even if it is checklist content, it kind of gets you out of the house, lets you breathe some fresh air, go around the world, see things, do some varied content. So, compared to what, 10 extra hours of salvaging, it's a cool idea. But even if it is just like plug in scape, go click on the next thing that's has a yellow arrow over it. I don't hate it. I like that it's not a repeatable training method. That would get old pretty quick. So it's kind
Yeah.
of cool that it's like this little. I'm trying to think of something else like that in any other skill where it's just this one-time completable thing that's a part of the skill. At
Achievement
that,
diaries, maybe? Like, that's what it reminds me of.
yeah, yeah. I guess it does. And I mean, I've gotten diary cape on 2 accounts, so maybe I should be inclined to like that. Um, I guess I was the first thing that came to my mind was like the Natural History Museum or
Oh, yeah.
the Natural History quiz or whatever. Kind of like this is a something unrelated kind of that boosts you in a skill or something. But I don't know. It that aside, it feels unique to everything else, and that is a huge part of what sailing is meant to be is exploration. So I'll give them the credit for that. It is a unique idea. Um, but I don't really care about it. So
Yeah, right. I
in
will say,
general.
at least the basic charting and the spyglass, they do feel nice to at least come across. When you see them, like, oh hey, there's one of my chartings. Like I don't have to do this later in the big batch that I'll end up doing. I can get this done now.
Hmm.
It still does feel nice. I think that if I could choose to have it in the skill or not in the skill at all, like it not exist, I think I'd still say that I'd prefer it be there. Even if I do
Yeah.
have my gripes with it.
That 3 month patch, it'll all be
Yes,
fixed.
it's all going to be fine. They're not going to kick the can down the road. They've never done that in the past. They're not going to start now.
Yeah,
Never.
and they're not going to focus on the Barracuda trials or salvaging. It's going to entirely be about the thing
Yes.
everybody cares about, which is charting.
Yes, indeed. That's top of the docket for everybody. Um, Similar, I guess we've already talked about tasks a little bit, but I think we focused on cargo. Bounty tasks, that kind of goes in with combat. They know that like combat's not the best. I thought actually, because I needed something to AFK and I felt like the salvaging rates weren't that good. I did find it pretty neat to AFK some of the bounty tasks or like do a bounty task while I was delivering cargo. That made me feel smart, even if it wasn't actually the best. I like the idea of them, but combat just feels bad. They're just not worth doing at the moment. I hope that they get better in the future. Because even like I did great white sharks. I AFK'd those during a D&D session, and ended up getting my hook, which was awesome. Not during that session. I AFK'd all through that for nothing, but I got it later on. That felt decent enough. I could definitely see if I were a person that had to actually be there going on rate. I got it way under rate, but it would feel bad. But what was lame is that I didn't like I was doing the sailing thing, but I didn't really get rewarded for it because I wasn't about to be going back and forth to port getting a task to do it again because you'd only kill like 15 or 20 by the time you'd get all your items at most if you're going super dry for those items.
Yeah, bounty tasks. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird that it's on the same board as the port tasks, like mixed in with that. Really threw me off day one. Um, it, every time I see the bounty task, it makes me think about the alternate universe where that was what Slayer was.
Mm,
Um, where you get to like pick your task from the available on the board, which I mean would probably objectively make Slayer a more enjoyable skill. It wouldn't feel anywhere near the same as it does now, but it would be kind of it would definitely let you only do the we wouldn't have skipping and blocking and stuff. It would just be like, all right, pick the one you like the most. Um, so seeing it kind of how I was envisioning it as kind of like Sea Slayer in a sense. But then I went and did it, and it was a lot more like Hunter Rumors.
yeah.
You kill it until you get the little jingle, and it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, they've been big on Hunter Rumors recently, so that's kind of cool. I don't know. I haven't gotten into. I think the like Hammerhead Shark is probably the biggest and baddest one I've really interfaced with, and it was I don't know, it's kind of whatever. That's this and the next thing we're going to talk about are the biggest things, like I said earlier, that I've just picked up from cultural osmosis
Yeah.
of people have so many complaints about this. I'm gonna let it breathe. I'm not gonna push it. Like I'll do, I'll try it out, and I've tried all this stuff out, but I'm gonna give it some time because I can see where the biggest friction is in the community, and I will let people who care more about this than me go do that content before it's like gotten a little bit better. And
Yeah.
that's definitely how I felt with the bounty tasks.
Yeah. I I mean, after I did want to try it out, and it's just one of those things. It feels bad because combat feels bad. If they can figure out combat and like the cannonball economy, especially for Ironman, it'll probably feel better. I'd love to see at some point if it is the way that people go do cargo missions as a way to get that upwards of 200k experience an hour. I would love to see a method where it makes sense to go do these tasks as a sailing training method as well. Or maybe they don't. Like maybe they don't want it to be a lot of XP per hour. That way the drops stay valuable. Because I got my hook right, as I mentioned. I sold it for 50 mil because I was like, oh man, like I want to sell it because I anticipate a lot of people right now, they're complaining about the drop rates. Like they're probably going to nerf the drop rates on this week. So I'm going to sell it now. And then they are like, oh, hey, we're not touching drop rates for now. Here's what they are, which are apparently not correct. People are like immediately after were saying, yeah, Runelight is saying, not Runelight, Runelight talking to the wiki. The wiki rates are different, and the wiki rates definitely seem more accurate just based on how often I'm getting this drop, or this being whatever drop people are talking about. And I sold it. They also announced, hey, we have another level 4 deckhandiness person. So you have 2 hooks now, 2 dragon hooks on your ship. And then I think it peaked that morning at like 90 mil. And I'm like, okay, like that's cool, whatever. But
Oh, the
it's
main life.
yeah. My thing is the course I teach is economics, so I live for it. I love it. For me, an MMO, one of my favorite aspects, even on like World of Warcraft, is the economy. Being as it now, like I say that my bank's only worth like after sailing and the recession we're in game. Sorry, I don't have to like say that we're in a recession outside of game, anyways. So, when I don't have a lot of money in my bank, but it's still enjoyable for me to like look at the market and the game design side of me looking at, okay, we have this change. What is that going to do in game? And that carries over to a lot of my hobbies. When I played Magic the Gathering, that was one of my favorite things, is looking at the cards coming up and how is that going to affect the other cards that are in standard and their price. Anyways, that tangent aside, when it comes to bounty tasks, if it's totally by design, because we're going to talk about trawling later, which I haven't done, they've made it clear that one of their design points about trawling is that they don't want it to give a lot of XP because they want the fish to be very valuable. They don't want the fish because I'm glad they've done this as well from another aspect of game design, is that if those fish were super cheap, we've just power crept the player's inventory a whole bunch because now people are able to fit way more hit points without a lot of drawback. So maybe that's their goal for bounty tasks as well. Maybe they don't want people to have a bounty task as they're farming great whites for their hook because they don't want to have a whole bunch of hooks come into the game. And if that's the case, I could respect it. I just think They've made it clear on trawling. Maybe they should also make it clear for bounties.
Yeah, yeah, that's totally fair. You know, it's so hard. These conversations, it's so hard to not say that. And this is dumb, and I don't believe this, so nobody freak out. But it's so hard sometimes to not be like, yeah, it should probably just work different for irons. You
Yeah.
know, like I know that a lot of that's come up. Like people have talked about the hours to a maxed out boat with the dragon
Mm-hmm.
sheets. Um, but you know, it's just hard because it's like you know that's the iron and main thing is a, you know, obviously a very long conversation, but you know it is hard when it's like you got your profit versus your you know, if you make it reasonable for irons, then the profit goes down for mains, and it's just the kind of a tale as old as time with this game.
Yeah.
um so that's definitely hard, and I don't know, I land on the side of, you know, people choose, you know, you chose the Iron Man life, so they should balance the rates around mains. And so I hope all of the mains listening will not turn off the podcast now.
Right. No, I think Ironmen are a great canary in the coal mine, if you will. Like if we're talking
Yeah.
about in that sense, where like they can really give you a sense of like maybe this item really is too rare. Um, for me, I'm like before they made that change to the RCS spellbook where they allowed you to reduce the prayer drain at Cerberus by casting whatever spell that is,
Hmm.
where it cuts it. Because I don't use it as a filthy main. I just use the shield. It is weird that you have this weird chicken boss that you create as a player. Right? You have this terrifying corporeal beast, but you make this weird chicken boss that you kill, you know, thousands of times to get this one drop. That makes this weird like mid. I don't want to say that Cerberus is mid game in the sense like in the grand aspect in the grand scheme of everything. I guess Cerberus is in my view, but that makes this one boss actually tolerable. That is weird, right? But you have this
Hmm.
nostalgic, like those shields when you see them, especially if you see them on an Iron Man, you're like, oh my goodness, this guy is crazy. So they couldn't change that. I think what they did to the RC spellbook is probably the best thing they could have done.
Yeah.
I red hot nuclear take coming in. I think that what you said, like changing rates for Iron Man, dude, I'm totally fine if it's different. And then just Iron Man could not trade their drops. Like they couldn't drop trade. It's just any wealth you earn on an Iron Man is stuck. It can't change. It can't move at all. But your game is expedited. I'd be fine with that. I know some Iron Men are like, it's not just like mains saying get over. It's also Iron Men that are saying like, I signed up for this. I do want this. I don't want my achievements to be invalidated. Maybe they should just come out with a Terraria Man mode because in my mind that's what Iron Man in my view is closer to like a adventure game like Terraria where you're progressing through and fighting these bosses because you've defeated previous bosses and did some gathering to progress. Iron Man is closer to Terraria in my view um, than it is how mains are related to the game. But I don't know if you've played Terraria, and hopefully people that have played Terraria can understand what I'm getting at there.
This is another thing where I just have to not respond because I mean, yeah, I could go on and on and on about, yeah, Iron Man and CG. You know, that's the
Yep.
big one. But you know, I just don't, we can't touch that with a 10-foot stick because it'll
Mm-hmm.
be three more hours. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'll hold my tongue. I have lots of thoughts.
Right. And like to their credit, the mods have done an awesome job at they've been trying to develop their way around it. They've been trying to develop more avenues, more paths. Even if times are redundant, because I will say like I don't know. I guess maybe if you're doing TOA, there is an item that came out, the Bell's Folly, the rapier from the Slayer boss, the Griffins that came out. Like if you already have the zombie axe, like from what I understand from people talking about it, the zombie axe is just straight up better than the rapier, and it's faster to get than the rapier. But like you do get this like equivalent tier item by going down another progression path, even if it is redundant. I think that's cool, even if it's just for the
Yeah.
sake of world building.
Well, and you, until you start an iron, you don't understand how weird the stab progression is, because it's just like you go from it's just you have this huge chasm until you can get like a Zami spear. But you know, I guess you're baiting me into keep talking about this, but you know, I think I think a big part of the solution in my mind is the oathplate shards. I really think that is a way forward to making a natural feeling dry protection that also is very like integrates well with the main man mode. You know, you have something that prevents you from going triple dry, hopefully, even though obviously you can go dry on the shards as well, but kind of has that layer of protection, but is still profitable. But all right, you gotta stop. You gotta stop.
I prefer it as well.
Yeah.
It is nice to see that big drop come, but
Yeah.
if we're gonna balance, I think that's probably the way. That's probably the way. Okay, so enough about the boring stuff. Let's actually get into the meat and potatoes. We will have one more. Like I think what's like people are doing the least, and that's trawling when we get there. But the Barracuda trials, I love these. I haven't done them. Like most of my experience is not from the Barracuda trials, but I love them so much. I remember, and you referenced this a little bit already when you mentioned like, hey, when you hit level 30, like your experience just skyrockets.
Oh yeah.
I had on my lunch hour, I don't know what level I was. I think I was something past 30 because I was salvaging all morning. And then I was like, man, like once I get some time that I can step away because I can, actually not do my job because I can close down for a little bit while I'm eating lunch. And then I scarfed down my lunch. I started doing temper tantrum. Oh my goodness, it was so engaging. I loved how it's very reminiscent for me of Doom, where Doom you have like the very basic level when you first fight it, and then you keep delving and they keep adding on mechanics. That's what they did with the ranks between what you have Marlin, Shark, is it Swordfish? Is the first one maybe? Where
Yes.
you keep getting progressively harder and harder. And what I loved about Temper Tantrum is that like you just go in one circle and that's it. And then you have like kind of a whole bunch of boxes out there and you're like, what the heck am I supposed to be doing? And then you kind of get this understanding of, oh, I have to do 2 laps because I have to get like to the other side and then back twice to deliver that thing twice. The what is it, the alcohol, whatever it is. I have to deliver that twice. So I should find a way that I can have like 2 concentric circles. And then I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I like this. And then by the time you get to the third, you know exactly what's called of you. You just may not have the route mapped out yet. And at that point, you're just kind of like trying to min max. You're really getting an idea of how to how to captain your boat. I thought it was just such great game design because this was also like your first foray. You're leaving the shoals, if you will. You're going from the shallow waters, doing your cargo transports into the thick of it with all of these rocks and these lightning strikes. So good. And you feel super rewarded for it because your XP is just going through the roof. I loved it so much.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, except I don't enjoy it at all. I I don't know. Yeah, I have done all the temper tantrum ones, and it I can see the people who like it, and I'm really happy for them. I have not enjoyed it, and I don't have any disagreement with anything you're saying as far as the optimization of it and stuff. I think I just, in general, in any video game, I just really hate being on a timer. And maybe that's all it boils down to of why I haven't enjoyed it, of that like optimization and stuff, which is funny because I love Sepulchre, but I think I only started to love Sepulchre when I got good enough at it that the time kind of stopped mattering. Um, but yeah, for me, it was like, oh my god, I'm sweating this out, and like, getting. I got the time, and I was just like, well, I don't see myself continuing to do this for
Huh.
XP. Yeah, no, it's just one of those things where I really love that people love it, and I love
Yeah.
that for a lot of people, it's been the thing that it was promised to be, and I wasn't really. I wasn't looking at. I knew there was a Barracuda trials, and I knew what it was kind of generally supposed to be, but I wasn't like salivating for it, and I I don't really gravitate to that type of content in general. Of like, I don't want to have anything to do with speed running. I just don't. I guess I just don't like to be rushed. I don't know, but anything with
Yeah.
a timer makes me uncomfortable.
Just one
But no,
note on
it
the timer real quick because
yeah.
I mean there's a bunch to say, but this is something I want to make sure that I don't forget about because I think it's super interesting to me because I would agree with you. I didn't enjoy Hollowed Sepulchre until I got to the point where, as you mentioned, like the time didn't matter to me anymore because it was learning Sepulchre is like relatively punishing. You're getting less XP per hour than you could probably be getting at a like at Arty Rooftops. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because you're just spending so much time getting through the floors, you may not even be able to get to the later floors because you're not proficient enough yet. I feel like they kind of, whether they knew it or not, this may have been a conscious design decision. I believe it was where even if you don't make time, you still get the full experience. It's just that your reward for clearing fast is getting higher XP rates. But I will say though, and this is why I'm going to ask a question here in a sec, because you do need to make time to get the reward the first time, where you get that huge drop of experience as well as whatever the unique collection log item is, which importantly is like the shark rank on all of them is like very useful for boat like sailing
Mhm.
progression. Have you done any of the trials after achieving the time?
Yeah, I did a bit of it, because I think, day 1, day 2 kind of area, it was like, I think for most people, it was perceived as, "Okay, this is I'm basically gonna do this to 99," It's like, I'm gonna do temper until I get to the next one, and I'm gonna like, this is gonna be the method, and, so, yeah, I did it for quite a while,
Okay.
and, yeah, I don't know, it just I I personally felt like it was an people comparing it to Sepulcher was an insult to Sepulcher because there's just so much more variance with, like, the activity in
Yeah.
Sepulcher.
Yeah.
It ironically, it felt more like rooftops where you're going in circles, and that I think that criticism would only apply to the first one. There is much more variance,
I
later on.
Dude, I think I would agree. I think actually the first one is the closest thing to Sepulcher because the lightning cloud, like the clouds, can change
Oh,
location, and you
yeah.
might have to change a
That's
little bit.
fair.
But once you get to Jubbly Jive, like it's the same lap after lap after lap, um, where you're clicking the same things everywhere. With Gleneth Glide, it's the same every single time. I guess they're like, I would say like it's a little different because in Gwyneth Glide there are these shards on the ground that if you run over, they get attached to your helm and you have to click your helm or your player starts taking damage. But even then, like I'm never trying to dodge those. It really just turns into I'm clicking my helm every now and then. The temper tantrum is the one that feels most like it, but that was my question. I guess why I asked that was just because like it feels way more chill and it like there is for me there was like that anxiousness of like, oh my gosh, I have to make time, or like I may not be able to sail efficiently even outside of this because I can't get my item, I can't get my uh, weather catcher built, or I can't get my crystal extractor built if I don't make time for this. So I could totally see how you would be if you're in a
Yeah.
situation where you feel like you have to make time for more than just your XP rate, but also for the sake of your actual sailing progression. I could totally see that being unenjoyable. But um, interesting. Okay.
I should definitely give it a fairer shot. I will say the biggest problem with with all of this, and it's like we're such hypocrites because we talk so long, we sung the praises of it, and it's true. But the biggest problem with this is that because I can salvage at work,
Yep. Yep.
I come home and I just PVM, and I know that I'm still going to get sailing progression when I'm at work. And so yeah, the active training method, I'm like, well, I could be PVMing right now and I'm still going to get my sailing progression. So that is like that is the kind of the turd in the punch bowl of why salvaging is I don't know, is it a problem? I don't know. If other people are doing the Barracuda trials and enjoying it and I'm doing the salvaging and enjoying it, I guess that's not a problem, but I can definitely see how that's like sad for the developers maybe if people are just like, yeah, yeah, that's cool that you put all this work into this skill. I'm gonna do this AFK thing and then do other things when I'm
Yep.
active. I don't know,
No,
but
when you have
that's
an AFK method, that certainly like that comes into the calculus of what players are doing to decide what activity they're going to do. For me, it's not necessarily like I'm gonna, come home and I'm gonna be salvaging at work and then come home and do PVM. Right now, it's like I'm salvaging at work, and when I come home, I'm with the family hanging out and maybe like doing salvaging there in my back pocket. Um, and then
yeah.
when I do have quiet time away, like if I'm watching a show with my wife, well then sure, like I'll salvage some more. At some point, when Frost Dragons were more profitable, it was salvaging, when I was could do some back pocket stuff and then actively, going to Frost Dragons and clicking those because that felt nice. But right now, it's I'm I'm salvaging in my back pocket, and then when I can actually actively play at my computer, it's playing Arc Raiders and um, like editing a video or something. So I
Yeah, and then, like, when the time comes that, like, I've maxed my main, and when the time comes that I wanna max my iron, I'm probably gonna do the same thing that I did when I maxed my main, which is I'm gonna separate everything into AFK and non-AFK,
yep
and it's gonna be like, well, I'm never gonna do Barracuda trials when I'm at home because that's when I
Yes.
need to be doing like agility,
Yep.
and I can get it passively. So yeah, it's so hard because like I love AFK in this game, but it does optimize the fun. Once again, we optimize the fun out, and it's like I'm never going to do Barracuda trials except for to get the collection logs because
Yes.
I know I can just put it on the back burner and still gain. It's just so hard because I love salvaging so much, but yeah. I'm fully admitting that I'm preventing myself from experiencing the rest of the
Yep.
content.
Yeah, because the sad reality, like if we had unlimited time and we could only play RuneScape, sure. I mean, at some level, I would do Barracuda trials perhaps, but
Yeah.
that's not the case, right? I have to economize, and because of that, um, I love Barracuda trials. I love doing them. I hope they have in the future a new Barracuda trial where there's like maybe some money making aspect of it. One theory I have, right? We're gonna kind of get ahead of ourselves here, but with the Gwyneth Glide, I've seen the proposal a lot of people push out, and I'm a fan of it. If one way to balance it, where maybe it only works in certain areas where the crystal extractor is just like it extracts stuff in general, like in the the Gwyneth Glide place, it extracts those crystal shards. It is weird that you get crystal shards everywhere else. Um, what would be really cool, get this, right? They release the new Mauritania quest, and they have around Mauritania, somewhere off the coast. They have a course where there's like bloodied water, and when you're using the crystal extractor there, you get like so you have your blood shards, right? What if they had like 10 of a certain item, like maybe blood slices that added up to make like one crystal shard, and then whenever you clicked on your crystal extractor, you had a chance to get one of those, which would bring a way of getting blood fury charges into the game, which people are always complaining about, and I'm assuming would also be a good moneymaker. There's and if that was a course, that'd be so cool. Where
Mhm,
you're
mhm.
doing it as a moneymaker to get these blood shards, or as an iron, like you don't want to pickpocket, so instead you go and do this course where you can get them much quicker, but you're not getting thieving XP. I think there's all sorts of avenues they can still go. I think what I love most about sailing is that it's just still so new. There's so many avenues that they can go and develop it.
Wait, hold on a second. Oh yeah, I think I just heard Sebe perk up because you mentioned a new way of getting blood shards. Yep,
he's,
he
he's
he's on board.
his ears are tingling. Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't know, and I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do with the crystal extractor in general. I was really expecting this week that they were going to have an update for it. I'm curious if the update's even going to hit before the Christmas break. I don't even know if they're going to have another. I'm assuming they will. Maybe they'll have another update next week, and then they go on break for Christmas, and we're back in the new year. But did you get to do Jubbly Jive at all?
No, I haven't done any of the two bigger ones.
Okay.
I'm sorry to say.
Okay. Well, just pushing our way through these Jubbly Jive, I thought was really cool game design wise because you essentially for the first two, it's really just a time trial. You're seeing how fast you can get through it. I did think having to throw like the bloated toads to lure the chompy to the end was annoying. But is it chompy, jubbly bird, not chompy bird. I'm getting my aviary mixed up here in RuneScape. I'm sorry. As you're luring that bird to the end, I did think that was annoying, but that's one of the things of higher end APM RuneScape is like essentially doing your best to not go cross-eyed. Like that's what it is in PVM, where you're balancing all these things that are happening on the screen. This is the same thing for sailing, so it makes sense. But for the third one, I thought it was so cool because when you complete the second one, you get like a moat in a bottle or so. It's what unlocks your wind catcher, where you can essentially store the charges whenever you catch the wind. And I just thought it was so awesome where for the third one, you have to use the reward from the second one to skip past the bubbles that slow you down. It just felt like taking a shortcut in a racing game. I just thought that was so awesome. And then because of that, I was really expecting like Gwyneth Glide to have a similar mechanic where like you have to end up using the crystal extractor. And in a sense, you do. Because really the only mechanic of Gwyneth Glide, you just maintain top speed. I really would have loved to see in Gwyneth Glide you also have to use the burst of speed that you store up to like skip past something again. But it's literally just go top speed the entire time, which I think is boring. It's neat, but I think the novelty of it wears off super fast. And speaking of the novelty wearing off super fast, those portals are they're so jarring. I just don't like them. I want to like Gwyneth Glide, especially because it's like the trial that you can do to 99, but
as soon as I got the crystal extractor, I haven't gone back. I'll go back again to try to get max time. The prideful part of me wants to get max time without building my rosewood hull to feel like I actually earned it. So I'll go back at some point before 99 because I loathe getting 90 like experience past 99. But I just not a fan. I don't know if you have much more to add in since you haven't done them yet, but those are my thoughts.
I will say that there is a part of me, every time I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go do the jubbly jive. I'm like, but if I keep salvaging for a little bit, I'll get an even faster boat, and then it'll be even easier for me. So
Yep.
it is that's that RuneScape thing. I mean, I got my first fire cape with 99 range, so I am I,
Dude,
I do fall victim to
I
that.
hear it. No, I for my Inferno, I borrowed a twisted bow from a friend, and for my Coliseum, I tried doing it without borrowing something, but I did end up borrowing a scythe from a friend. So, I'm the same way. I was like, if I can get every advantage I can, I will. As an Iron Man, you actually get to earn it. I, however, just get to have things handed to me, and it's just a game of skill expression. For you, it's also a game of sacrifice. But I do think it is obvious. It's obvious to me at least that the developers designed that where they're like, yeah, well, like if you want to wait till level 92 and farm up a whole bunch of dragon components to get the rosewood hull, so you don't have to like worry about getting the time for the crystal extractor, you can totally do that.
hmm
So in my mind, like you can say that you like you're admitting to it. I think that Jagex wants some players to do that because they don't want them to feel pressured to do content.
Yes, the game is intended. That's what I'm doing.
Yes, yes, I'm doing what I'm supposed to. We've already talked about it quite a bit, but is there anything else we need to mention about salvaging? I think it's just another great example of we're just talking about something where you have high APM to get high experience. With salvaging, actually, you mentioned Sebe. He actually just posted a video where he got like 200k experience per hour by tick manipulating on the salvaging hooks. So I guess even salvaging can be high APM, but I love that RuneScape has all these knobs because not every game has the knob of reward for how intense something is, but it's something that RuneScape can regularly lean into. Is there anything else that we want to share on salvaging before we move on to trawling, which I don't think either of us have done?
Um, People who tick manipulate AFK methods need to have their brains studied for science. It's not okay.
It's like, bro,
It's
trials are right
messed
there.
up.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Uh, I mean, you have the most chill skill in the game with woodcutting, and you got to ruin it by doing all this tick manipulating. And then I think that was day 1 or 2. I was like, all right, let me look at some Twitch streams. And the first one I clicked on, they were tick manipulating, salvaging. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
No, jokes aside, I think it's amazing that you can tick manipulate it for psychopaths. But yeah, I mean, salvaging, it's incredible, and it's keeping me from doing the other things in the skill, which I will do eventually. But I will say I love the thing that changed everything for salvaging was when I found out that your crewmates could start the salvage again once it stops. And I just have been going down this mental path of how that could work in other skills, and I know that that's like it's too late for that in a lot of ways. Like if they added something to the game so that you start chopping the tree again once it comes back,
Yeah.
it would be it'd be so different, and it would take away from the old school. It'd be literally RS3
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
I think there is some sense where you
But
could do it because you mentioned RuneScape 3. I don't think that's one of the bad things of RuneScape 3. When they did their mining and smithing rework, they reworked rocks to where you just mine them, and then if you mine the one that has like something glittering above it, you get, I think it's like either increased XP or increased ores, which would equivalate, which equivalate, that's not a word, which would equate to more XP. I wouldn't be upset if they added that. Did you play RuneScape back in the day when Living Rock Caverns existed?
uh, no, I don't remember that.
It was this
I don't think. I mean,
really cool PVM like skilling area where the PVMers would come in for their Slayer tasks to kill these rock golems that were down there, and then the skillers were going there to mine their equivalent of anglerfish, as well as I think they were they rockfish maybe? I can't remember. And then they also had like gold veins where you could just essentially mine AFK on them until they collapsed after an extended period of time. I think there's
Mhm.
plenty of like that. You mentioned that idea of like you get less XP, but you get more more AFK. I think there's way more avenues that old school could lean into, especially because we've established precedents where it's not something that we're afraid of, so long as we don't be too egregious with how much XP it is.
Yeah, no, I fully agree, and it feels good to know that if my phone's in my pocket and my boss is talking to me, that my guy will just start up again instead of just standing there.
He doesn't
God,
even know
that's
my
so
numbers going
pathetic,
up.
but yeah. Oh man, it is. I'm not proud of much in my life, but the ability to get away with a functioning high level on a construction site and still getting RuneScape gains it's an art, and I'm very proud of it.
Very nice. Very nice. Unfortunately for the XP enjoyers, trawling exists. Um, I mean, let's just talk with rewards, right? I mean, if you don't know, we've got new best in slot fish for just like straight up hard heals, and then we have best in slot Karambwans now. I guess I shouldn't call them Karambwans because they're not Karambwans. Combo food, I guess I should say, where you can fit just straight up more HP in your inventory now. So are you looking forward to those, or you're like, man, I don't know, I'm not going to go out of my way to do an activity just to get better food?
Oh man, I I mean, yes, I am definitely going to go out of my way to get better food. I'm just I have not liked what I've seen of trawling, so I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah. Um, I'm in a similar vein. I haven't done it yet. I saw Treyblob do it. When I was watching Treyblob do it on stream and I watched his video, it does seem like you can just kind of get into that vibe where you're just essentially doing a loop where you're just chasing the shoal, and it's you know what? Oh my goodness, we were talking about how we haven't been able to do escort quests correctly. I think shoals are escort quests done correctly because it's not like you could view it like if they were instead like, hey, you need to escort this shoal from point A to point B, it would be lame content. But instead, it's like you're trying to stay on top of this thing for as much as you can and chase it down. It's mechanically, I feel like it's the same thing, but because the narrative of the game design around it is different, oh my goodness, they've done it. They've made, at least in my mind, they've made it engaging. Because when I was watching him do it, I don't know if you've watched anyone do trawling yet, but it does seem relatively, if not engaging, but at least in the sense where you can kind of get into that vibe of it, where it's content that you could do for an hour, and then all of a sudden have 500 to 750 fish that are the best fish in the game.
Huh. Yeah, no, it's been a weird, like, I feel like it's the big, there's kind of the four big, charting, salvaging, Barracuda trials are the big ones, and that it feels like it's just really flown under the radar.
Yeah.
I've haven't talked to many people who have done it. Um, I'll say for myself, I was disappointed, because I have a my soapbox is that I think fishing is actually the worst skill in the game. It's worse than runecrafting or agility, and I was really hoping that sailing would give me a way to get 99 fishing that's different from everything else. Like, I just wish there was a new method for
Mm.
99 fishing.
But
And
wouldn't you just AFK 99 fishing anyways?
yeah, I don't like any of the it's a whole thing. I don't like
Yeah.
any of the methods. It's I mean, I have what 92 on my iron, so it's like, I mean, I've been fishing, but I just don't like any of the methods. I don't know. There's something about fishing. It's just. But anyways, I was I heard that it was not an XP method. It was a profit method. Which, I mean, profit useful items. It's the same thing on an Iron Man,
Yep.
but it's something for useful items. Like, okay, yeah, I'll go do that to get those items, but it's not like a new method that I'm going to be doing regularly. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it hasn't. It's just weird. It's just flown under the radar, and I haven't felt, like with I said I haven't done like Jubbly Jive, but it's obviously like on my radar, and I know I need to do it, at some point. But trawling is just, I haven't seen people talking about it. I haven't like felt the need to even do it, and I kind of forget it's there.
Yeah. There is some sense as well. I feel like this is Jagex kind of bearing some fruit to a complaint that's been there for a while in the community, and that's the fact that like, what's the point of skilling if I can just get all these resources from bossing anyways? When it comes to like right now on the GE, it's 6,700 coins each, right? 6.7K for one piece of food. That's, I mean, crazy. If you're a PKer, like, sorry, bud. Like, even you, if you go in with a rag kit but you have like good food on, you're still going to be losing quite a bit. But like, that excites me. The fact that like you can go and do a skilling method and get rewarded for it. I like from the aspect of a main. Sorry, from the aspect of from the perspective of an Iron Man. I guess there is some sense where like, man, like, well, shoot, like now I could completely upkeep my account by doing PVM. Now I have to go out of my way to go get food. I could even see like where that becomes annoying for an Iron, where you have to go out of your way to get this.
No, irons need to skill. If you create an iron and don't want to skill, you shouldn't have made an iron in the first place.
There it is. Another hot take. We're doing our best. We're doing our best.
Sorry, that's like a pet peeve of mine is irons complaining about skilling. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's like you do have like there's even main people that are like, oh my gosh, like I have to skill. My thing is I get upset when mains aren't skilling. Like if I'm doing TOA and someone isn't 85 mining, I lose my mind. I get so upset when we have to do a whole nother puzzle just because somebody. No, I have a friend where he legitimately he got the requirements for TOA and he only did TOA. Like he made an account just to do TOA. That's all he liked doing in the game. Crazy work.
Okay,
work.
they can study his brain and science too.
Yeah. Well, and then he was like, yeah, like, are we ready to do other raids? Because he essentially got all the clogs that he cared about. He got like every single piece of loot. And he was like, guys, it means we're gonna do like Cox and TOB, right, guys? And I think both of us were like, I think I was busy in Inferno, and the other person was taking a break from the game. So I think even still, I think he ended up getting like a quest cape. He would run 8 mans on his own just because he needed that hit. But I still haven't. I've done a few tobs, but largely they're carries. Maybe one day we'll get around to it. I really want to do it because all I hear from the seasoned PVMers is how good Tob is. But one day,
it's good.
One day, man. I think we've gone. I don't think there's anything about like the actual training of sailing itself that we need to talk about. I think we've covered it all. I don't think there's anything else like 1 to 99 sailing we need to talk about. I guess like right now myself when I'm salvaging, I'm actually not even doing merchant salvage right now. I'm going back and I'm getting all the collection logs. I love that they've added collection log items in, whether it's the salvaging spots, they have one for trawling as well. They have, I believe Krakens drop like an ink or something, which you could say is like a ship combat way of having a clog. And then of course you have like the actual clogs that people want of the hooks and the bottled storm or whatever. But I'm very happy with where the skill's at. But before we go on to all of the tangential stuff, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I mean, I guess one other thing, and this is kind of a segue into the tangential stuff, but we haven't really touched on all of the islands that we've gotten, all of the new areas we've gotten, which is it's kind of hit or miss. It's kind of some areas that feel like, they were question marks on the map and you get there and it kind of feels like they're still under construction for a lot of them.
Yeah. There's some islands you can't even dock at. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's they're coming, and once again, I have all that grace I talked about earlier, as far as I think that those things are going to get filled in, and I think we're going to talk about a lot of ways those things could get filled in. But the one thing that sticks in my craw with that is the angler's retreat doesn't have an angler fishing spot.
I heard that when I was listening to I don't know if you said that on Sater's cast or if you were saying that on yours. You know what? I don't think it's called Angler's Retreat because it has they're saying that it has anglerfish. I think that anglers, like people that are fishers, go there to retreat.
Oh, that's fair.
I think that's what they're getting at.
I'm still mad. I can't change my mind.
It's infuriating. It's infuriating.
Yeah.
No, I mean on the islands, there. That's kind of what I was getting at with the charting. I wish there was more charting that was on the islands. Like, it would have been nice to have to get off your boat more, and not just get off your boat, but actually like get into your boat. I was watching a video of someone going to the lava strike worms, and I've never been there. This is just like, it was by happenstance they were going in there. I think you have to go in there for something related to a dye, and like you have to put a rope on the thing to go in. I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, most of the stuff these days, like, there's all like, you just go in. The fact that you have to bring a rope to go in, I like that. That's flavor. I love it.
Mhm.
But like, I don't know that because I've never been to the lava strike worms yet, because there's been no reason for me to go. I was like, I'm rushing frost dragons to get the better drop rates anyways. I'm not going to go to these guys, and there was no sea charting to take me in there. So what's the point? I think the only cave I really went into was the Aquanite one, and that was just because I was like, I just finished Gwyneth Glide. I was like, I'm done with this. I was like, oh, there's an island here. I guess before I teleport away, I'll go in. And I was like, oh, the Aquanites are here. That's neat. I do wish there was more reasons to go into the islands, and I will forgive the fact that there are some islands that you just can't dock at yet. I know there's one that's like not even, I guess it's an island, but it's more of a dock. There's the Last Light, which I'm assuming is for the Rocking Out quest that's going to be coming. I'm hoping there's a Rocking Out quest. It's in the pirate quest line. And then there is the Red Rock, which I'm assuming is related to the pirates in the quest that takes place in regards to the Great Conch. But no spoilers there. And then you zoom out and you see like there's those islands in the seas that you can't even access yet, like the Eastern Ocean, the Cursed Archipelago. Very excited for all of that content as well. Like, when I see an island that I can't dock at yet, I'm just like, oh yeah, like something's happening there. It could be in it could be in 6 months, it could be in 6 years, but at some
Yeah.
point there's going to be content there. Like when you look at Tempestus over in Varlamore, it's like, I don't know what's going there, but it's going to be neat.
Yeah, and it's awesome that we've reached such a high, like a peak of trust with Jagex, that we actually can say whatever it is going to be great, and like actually mean it. And that's, I love this game. I love this past year has been incredible for updates,
Yep.
and it's just so cool that it's like I trust that whatever they come out with is going to be great. And yes, the islands did have that initial Zaya release feel at some points where it's just kind of like, why is this here? But it's a big blank slate that I think is going to get filled in over the years,
Yep.
and I I'm excited for it. But it is definitely from a day one perspective, it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's like got some trees and stuff. That's cool.
My top question that I have for sailing developers is, and I need to know this just because I'm putting my tinfoil hat on here. How many of these islands, or at least the amenities that are on these islands, the drops, the resources, whatever, were designed just for the sailing locked Ironmen that are being created for YouTube series? That's what I want to know. Like, how many of them are like, oh, Settled is gonna love this.
Yeah.
So they're actually writing the episodes as they're developing the islands. Like, yeah, he's gonna get here, and this is gonna be his this changes everything moment. Yeah. I have to get a glass of water. I'm sick right now. My throat is super dry. Let's come back in like a minute or two. Are you cool with that? I know this is a late night for you.
No, good. You're good.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
So the best thing about sailing is that it's not just the skill itself, but it does. While it's not like required for the rest of the game. Again, like, you could totally never visit a port, never step foot on your boat, and the game would be the same as it is. Like, nothing has changed with the rest of the game. I think that's what's amazing. Is as much as people were calling out doom and gloom because the skill was coming out, there's no way that it could have been a EOC situation because they haven't warped the game to be around sailing. But there are some things that are new. Construction is one of the skills that you need to have, even as a main. You need to have in order to be able to build the facilities on your boats. And of course, as an iron, you need to have it to be able to build the facilities as well. You also need smithing. But focusing on construction real quick, especially on day one, they ended up nerfing the experience that you got from making hull parts. Do you foresee, I know that there's like the repair kits, which you have to make as an iron anyways. Do you foresee like the meta changing at all, at least for irons when it comes to construction training?
That's been my question as well. I've been so curious about that. I had 99 when sailing came out, so was like, oh yeah, I don't care for post 99 XP either. So I was like, okay, whatever. That's a big chunk of XP though. Side note, I haven't made a single repair kit. I've got them all from salvaging.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm wondering the same thing. I know that I've heard. I think once you get to like Port Roberts and stuff, I guess you're a lot closer to a
Mm-hmm.
bank. Or or Port Kazard or
Deep
whatever.
fin. Yeah,
Deep
Kazard
Fin,
Kazard
yeah.
is really good as well. Yeah, before you get to Deep Fin, you got Catherby, and then eventually Kazard, and then a Deep Fin ends up being the closest. But
So I don't know. I'll be interested to see what the nerds find out on all that. If it is more efficient to do it that way than a traditional construction training.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I, de- I don't know. Yeah, I've been wondering that myself, and that's kind of one of those things of just like letting the dust settle on all of the changes, but also finding metas and stuff. But it sure ain't gonna hurt. There was some big XP drops in there with some of those builds, but they're very expensive. I mean, from a resource standpoint. So, but construction in general is very expensive. So I'm as curious as you are to see where that lands.
yeah. Um, I'm curious where the XP per plank is. I guess I should be more prepared. I should have done research. But if the XP per plank is still there on something like even mahogany hull parts, I imagine you're still losing less money than just straight up losing the planks, because you could even high alch, say like if you made mahogany hull parts, you don't need them anymore, but if you're making them just for the construction training as a main, you could be able to sell them on the Grand Exchange because they can be high alched, or even you could high alch on them yourself. I'm curious if that would
Mhm.
be cheaper than sitting in your house. At the very least, it's AFK. I mean, you
Yeah.
and I love that. So as a main, just being able to, in the same way that you'd grab your bars and then go sit in an anvil for smithing, you can just grab planks and then go sit at a shipwright for construction. I think there is something that's definitely going to fit into the meta there that people can do. When someone like Chaos does his yearly AFK video, that'll probably, construction finally has something that is AFK. I'm curious about the cost efficiency on it. But you mentioned that you're getting all of your repair kits from salvaging. Could be the get, like, you don't really need repair kits right now, right? Because I mean, you're just salvaging. No one's doing ship
Yeah.
combat. There's no like in-game ship stuff. Ooh, we should have talked about that. You get your dragon stuff at like level 90 something. Do you think there's going to be a problem? And maybe hold on, we're going to kick this can down the road. Let's finish talking about construction, because I foresee there being a problem where there's going to be like we have our dragon tier stuff that you need like 92 sailing for now. What happens when there's like a Barrows tier sailing thing? Like, are we just
It
going to
just
try to
turns into
squeeze everything in that last 7 levels? But
it's the same problem as smithing where
right.
you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, we created another smithing problem. But anyways, construction. I think the repair kits will be something that maybe irons don't have to do as much mahogany homes. They don't have to do as much burning their planks inside their house because they'll be getting incidental experience making the repair kits when combat actually is useful.
No, don't listen to him, Irons. You have to do mahogany homes. It sucks, but you have to do it. I'm sorry. It's just the reality of Iron Man.
The saw's neat. And dude, Mahogany Homes, after they made those QOL updates for it, like it's even
Oh, it's
good
so
doing
much
on
better.
mobile now. Like crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yes, it is.
It feels good. It's like, okay, like this is slower, and it's like the actions per minute isn't as high, right? So it's slower XP and you're not like killing your wrist. But even then, dude, like they enabled the RuneLight plugin where you can just change the UI button, and they let you just left click everything. Like even construction in the house, you're not like developing a chronic disease training it anymore. So that's pretty cool.
I do really want, completely unrelated to sailing, but they do need to, they're expanding the world. They need to expand Mahogany Homes to some of these other, do some Varlamore ones. I mean, shoot,
Yeah.
get some sailing Mahogany Homes in there. You're sailing around to different islands, fixing them up, getting some stuff on these islands. There we go.
People would they'd have to have a teleport to get there. People would be so upset. Imagine you're training Mahogany Home. You're like, oh, every other one takes 2 minutes to get to. This one takes me 10. People may lose their minds. I think that is the doubt. Like that could be one of the reasons why, unironically, they can't really do much to Mahogany Homes, because any change they make is either going to make it significantly better or significantly worse.
Yeah.
Tragedy. I can't think of anything else for construction Uh, I do like that.
It's
Like it's a requirement. I like it.
Yeah, and it's great that, and it was probably one of the first decisions they made, but making it not give sailing XP is crucial.
Hmm.
So it's not literally just more construction to train sailing,
Yep,
just
prevented
over
it
and
from
over
being
carrying it
another
out.
viable. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that was really cool. It did make it still though for mains like what one of my favorite aspects of a new skill is like if you get up there like you're part of a very select few where you're the only ones that have access to those resources so you can make a buck. Um,
Yeah.
so that was still nice. As an iron, you don't really care. Like it's going to be the same to you whether you do it today or do it in 2 weeks. I guess unless they change the rates. That may be what
Yep.
a lot of people are waiting on. I'm curious how many people are out there being like, I'm just going to go back to the main game until they lower the rates. Um,
Oh yeah, that's how I feel about a good amount of this stuff.
yeah, just waiting. You said waiting until the dust settles quite a few times.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
totally understandable. But I will say, construction is even more important now. Like construction is one of the most important skills. I know for me, I haven't quit this game. My sub has been active since I maxed out my player owned house. It just makes the game way more enjoyable. But now there's even another reason on top of that. And I almost wonder, like, do the construction requirements even matter if people are going to have construction trained anyways, just because of how important it is? If anything, I appreciate the flavor.
Yeah. No, I think it was necessary to have construction tie in with it,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think they did it in a great way.
Yeah, it just makes sense. But talking about those construction requirements, because construction is the if sailing is like the attack and strength and defense requirement for rune armor, right? Where you have like level 40 and then you have all the tiers above it. With sailing, like oddly enough, it'd be like if you needed 90 to attack to equip a dragon scimitar. Um, we have essentially the same thing happening for the dragon cannon. Is it 92? It could be like 97 or something. I think it's even worse than what I'm saying. Boat facilities, scroll all the way down. It is 92 for a dragon cannon. Man, I should just really trust myself. I am curious about that. Like, are they going? What makes sense in my mind is just as these things come out, just lower the requirements for these things. But I, I'm genuinely curious what Jagex's plans are because I know they have to have plans, right?
Uh, yes, we have to hope.
Yeah. Uh, but I don't know because smithing is also a requirement. I'm curious. I doubt it will be right, but could smithing keel parts fit into the meta for smithing training? I don't think it. I don't think it will. If the XP per bar is there and the alch value is there, it could. Uh, do you know? Because I know the answer, but I'm curious if you know. Do you know whether or not keel parts can be thrown into the cauldron at Giant's Foundry?
I Yes, they can. I heard something about that. Am I right?
I don't think they can right now unless they've changed it.
Oh, ah,
Yeah, I know. Feels like they should, right? But they can't. Um, so it'd be cool. I'd like it. It'd be like I like the idea of making a bunch of keel parts with your inventory and then turning those keel parts into large keel parts to use up even more bars. But if the alch value is not there, there's no way that they're going to be used in perpetuity. Um, do you make cannonballs as an iron? Is that like do people actually unironically AFK making cannonballs? Is that a thing you do?
I did it early on because I thought that that's what you did as an iron, and then I kind of just got 99 Slayer without really canning anything, and
Okay.
now I have 37,000 cannonballs just from miscellaneous making them and PVM, and now I'm kind of like, oh, I'll use them where I want, but I feel like you kind of more just get used to not using them.
Yeah. And thankfully, it's been the case where you haven't really needed cannonballs because from what I've heard, I think even Sebe asked this when I like popped up a message in his chat asking him what he thought about the new furnace because at level 87 you do get the new furnace. Like in most people's views, like I'm still gonna take the AFK route because if I'm actively playing the game, like you have to be very active. It's not like an AFK furnace because you have to take the fairy ring there. You have to be doing a lot of stuff with your inventory. Um, it's actually not as AFK as you'd think, especially if you that double mold where you're going through your inventory even faster. Where some people are saying like, I'd just rather AFK than make the cannonballs actively. I'd just rather do it at a normal furnace where I can click and look away, walk away, whatever. So sad to hear.
Yeah, that was. It's so weird to me that I can't. I just don't understand why they did the cannonballs the way they did them. As far as why can you not put rune cannonballs in your dwarven cannon? Like I don't. people don't use their cannon to do a lot of DPS. They use their cannon to aggro. So it's like it would be interesting if they did allow you to put higher tier cannonballs in. Maybe that would change where people use them. But I don't know. That I just thought that was very odd, and it makes no sense from a just a world standpoint, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I know
I
you
don't
also had the
care either
granite.
way. But
Yeah, you have the granite ball question come in, because you have the granite dust that you can put on cannonballs.
yeah,
Can you fire granite cannonballs through the cannons? I'm imagining no. That's my assumption. But I guess at some level they
hopefully
didn't,
not.
like, if steel cannonballs are doing 30 damage, how much should a dragon cannonball do? I guess that's their fear. I'm curious why, like, because the cannon is even smaller. Like, how is our dwarven multi cannon firing those huge balls, and then our cannons on our ships are firing these little shot puts? Um, I think they totally could have gotten away with making them different. Like, you can have dwarven cannonballs and then cannonballs, and then the cannonballs are just smaller. Maybe you can just, the mold for cannonballs is just bigger,
Yeah,
like capacity wise, with quantity. I will say though, if they want to make the new forge AFK, in that forge, okay, there is a, I don't know how familiar with the lore you are, but during Desert Treasure 2, there's that pillar, that ancient pillar in Lasar Undercity. That's referencing, oh gosh, I forget the name of the boss from RuneScape 3, Zalatath, I believe. That pillar is also on Mostly Harmless over by the minigame where you're making the booze. But there is a what's that called? A mold, like a big mold that is the size of one of those pillars and the shape of one of those pillars. They should totally have a requirement for the quest that comes out eventually in the future where you're interacting with that, because they're totally foreshadowing a future quest where we're going to finally get the end of the pirate quest line, and that boss is involved in the pirate quest line. Anyways, where in order to fill up that mold, you have to have like way more bars than you can fit in your inventory. They should have they should have some quest thing where you go there, you fill up a whole inventory worth of bars, and a NPC gives you an item that lets you melt any like one tier of armor, weapons, kind of same thing you do at Giant's Foundry, into some item that you can hold like 28 slots worth of bars in your inventory, and like some sort of, like, it's like a cauldron you carry around you that you can just like throw alch items into. Like, that'd be like one of the rewards from the quest, is that you get it for the quest because you need to pour in like 40 bars at once into this mold. But this cauldron you get to take with you after the quest to like take to Slayer assignments, where you can throw like your rune plate bodies, or your rune plate legs, your rune two-handers into, to kind of like, instead of just alching all of those, you can bank smithing XP with those armors and weapons. That's my fun idea.
sounds good to me. It sounds dangerously close to what or what Giants Foundry should have been.
Right, maybe Giants Foundry should have already had that as a quest reward. Because I know it's like very, very useful for irons. Is that like, do you find yourself purposefully like taking an item and not alching it to later take it to the Giants Foundry, or is it just like, if you conveniently have stuff, are you mainly using bars? I've never done it on an iron.
It's unfortunate because Giants Foundry is to smithing what Mahogany Homes is to construction, and you feel like you have to go there. And I try to avoid it like the plague.
Yeah.
Because I really don't like Giants Foundry, but every time I've gone there, it's this is I'll say this as quickly as possible just because it's a whole tangent. But as far as it's very surprising, and I think it's mostly because I came into Iron as an experienced PVMer, so I've done a lot of PVM, but I have just not hurt for supplies like people think you will on an Iron, and I haven't gone through the like, yeah, I don't have any bars, so I need to use my plate bodies and stuff.
Yeah.
I've always just used what I had, and I left Giants Foundry because I couldn't stand to be there any longer, much sooner than I ran out of bars and stuff. So that hasn't been the thing for me. I do know that there are metas with like buying them from
Yep.
shops
Yeah.
and then using them there, but it's never been a thing for me, and I think it's mostly just because I've always played very like balanced between PVM and skilling, so I've usually just gotten it's a whole other tangent, and it's a sad reality of where the game is of that I've prioritized just PVMing for my
Yep.
resources. But oh
Yeah.
man, so many tangents that we could talk about for hours.
No, I mean that's where you get to be that adult iron where you're past skilling. You've
Yeah,
escaped. You've reached escape velocity, and you can upkeep supplies from
yeah,
continuously
yeah.
going in. So absolutely. So it is it is neat at least, right, that they have this in theory like a faster way to make cannonballs. It's just sad. Like if you have active time that you can play the game, I don't think anyone's going to choose making cannonballs. That's the sad reality. I think it has to be very rewarding.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's rewarding enough yet. But what does seem cool to me, at least from the game design perspective, once the dust settles, as you say, we'll find out whether or not this is actually good. I like it in theory. We'll see how it pans out. Right now, a lot of people are upset with the death rate on coral when you're farming, say like umbral coral. It dies quite a lot, and you can't use compost on it because it's underwater. And the idea is, I'm assuming from the game designer standpoint, is you need to farm the lower tier corals to pay for the cost of the protection for the higher tier corals. So that even means that, like, with with a lot of farming, the lower level stuff isn't valuable because it's not useful for anything, because you can just ultra compost your way past even needing to think about it doesn't make sense to buy the stuff when you can just use ultra compost because it's so cheap. But with this, like, you have to have those lower tiers. So as a main, I'm imagining like there's an economy for buying those lower tiers to farm the higher ones, and that's very rewarding, I imagine, as well for someone who's not a maxed main yet, where it makes sense for you to go and do farm runs for those because you can sell them to higher level players. And I imagine as an iron, like if you want to get those Armadillion brews, you need to be farming all tiers all the time because they're always working up to an Armadillo brew. But is that going to feel annoying where you're like, man, like I want this piece of umbral coral, but in order to get an umbral coral, I have to farm these two previous tiers of coral first. I'm curious what ends up happening with the player perception on that, because the game design portion of me loves it, but I also understand why people are upset.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one of those things. I mean, I would say to those people exactly what I said earlier. It's just like, well, you got to see it from starting your account today standpoint. It's a great design, and farming feels like that in general. And obviously, like you said, you kind of can bypass a lot of that with ultra compost. But it is really cool how each tier of farming is like protected by an earlier tier of things. So I think it's consistent with the game, and I think it's great. And it's just weird right now because farming or sailing just came out. So yeah, it's a little odd right now, but I don't know. I think it's great.
I haven't actually looked at the price of an Armadillo brew. Where do you think? Do you think they're broken? Like being able to take in, like, instead of taking your 4 range pots to Inferno, you can take range pots that give you health back. Is that too busted? Oh my gosh, the daily volume is 17,000, so it's not as bad as some of the other sailing items, but they're only trading for like 14K each. The Armadillo brews.
Wow.
I
That's
assume they'd be going
wow.
for more, but I
That
guess
is
to some
interesting.
extent you do get a lot of umbral coral when you either get no umbral coral or you get a whole bunch. From what I've heard when it comes to like people harvesting it, if it does live because you paid for it, you either get a super small quantity or a whole bunch. Like a lot of people get like over 20. But
Yeah, I'm you bring up the Armadillo Brew. It's been very interesting. Like so much of what I thought the early sailing was going to be is like similar to when a PVM boss drops. There's that skill specs video or uh oh my god, I can't think of his name. The snake.
Solo
But he.
Nishin. I love that.
Thank
That's
you.
our way of identifying.
But there's that solo mission video where it's like the thumbnail is the Armadillo Brew, and he's just like, I got the new best, the new best food
Yeah.
in RuneScape or whatever. But I once again, kind of I feel like that has not been the headline. Like all the new
Yep.
items and stuff, it's really been about sailing, and I think that really goes to show, a lot of how cool the skill is that it seems like people are focused on that, and not just the new items related to other skills that come from it.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I would have thought from when I first saw that blog, it's like, okay, well, this is the only thing anybody's going to care about from sailing is new best in slot food.
Yeah.
But I really haven't seen much about it, which is surprising.
Yeah. No, I know there's been a monkey, no monkey inferno run with the new stuff that's come out over the past half year or so. That's made it easier, and of course, one of the shining items that in this recent video was the Armadillo potions, because I mean it is really good. I mean, to just knowing that when you need to take a sip of range pot, at least for me, one of the things that I always had in the back of my mind, like, man, like, is it worth taking a range pot now? Because I may have to brew later. But now you can kind of just like, well, I'm gonna get health when I hit my range pot anyways. So it feels good. You're just fitting more HP into the same amount of spots. So
It'd be really nice for all that solo God Wars dungeon as well. All the both only God Wars dungeon.
Oh yeah, yeah, because you don't need to do anything else. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're able to fit a whole bunch of people are like, oh, summoning can't come to the game. Pack yaks are too dangerous. We have already surpassed pack yaks. Okay, we're sailing. Anyways, there's flax and like all the other stuff for the hops patches. I really don't think that stuff matters. I tried calculating the XP for doing a whole hops run, and it's not anything that I would dream of doing. When it comes to like the farm run.
When I got, what is hemp the first one you get? I think so. That was the first like hop patch I've ever done, I think, in 20 years of RuneScape.
Do you have a quest cape?
Oh yeah, I guess you probably have to do one for the quests.
Yeah, you do barley.
Okay. Okay.
I'm a flavor person. Does it bother you, or is it just me being ridiculous? Does it bother you that you're planting something that is not hops in a hops patch?
Well, this is the first time I'm hearing it, so no, it hasn't bothered me.
Fair enough. Hey, I mean, I don't know if there's like a botanical definition of hops. Like, if someone wants to try making beer with flax, I mean, I don't know what that would taste like, but to each their own. I don't know. Like, speaking of those hops patches, like, you do have the like crafting requirements to be able to spin that stuff. I don't think anything's going to be meta defining. Especially when crafting is already like, there's some really good methods already. I'm not sure from an Iron Man standpoint, but like from at least a main standpoint, like in an early iron, because I played a little bit of early iron, you just cut gems. It's so good. And I know that there's the meta of blowing glass, but at least any of the stuff that's in crafting isn't going to be, sorry, any of the stuff that's in sailing, I don't think is going to be meta for crafting training.
No, I mean, if you could pickpocket a bunch of the seeds, but I don't. Can you get the seeds from Master Farmers, or is it only from sailing?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I had wondered that, because I was wanting to get hemp seeds to sell them, because they were going for like 2 mil each the first couple days.
Oh my goodness.
And then people got their sailing high enough where they were like salvaging from, was it large or mercenary maybe? There's
the
one
large is where you
spot.
start to get a good amount of them.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is why they tanked from, like, it was literally overnight. They went from like 1.5 mil to like 20K. I was like, what is going on? But it makes sense. The massive players had moved into there, but I love that early economy. Like, I love the early economy on like World of Warcraft when there's a fresh server as well. It's the only time that you get to see it, and it's just so interesting to me, because you can look at the prices of items, and you can see, even without looking at the high scores, you can see where the player base is at in the progression. I just think that's super neat.
Yeah, 100%.
That's my economics teacher coming through though. After crafting, there's Slayer, I suppose. Slayer actually got, I mean, there was one of the mods, Kieran maybe was in a podcast recently. Maybe it wasn't even the podcast. Maybe it was like one of their dev Q&As for the skill coming out. And he's like, yeah, like, it's kind of crazy when you think about it, because normally like a Slayer boss coming out is like an update on its own. And like, we got a Slayer boss, 2 Slayer creatures if you separate Griffins from the boss, and then you also have Lava Strike Worms. No, 3, because you have Aqua Knights. We're getting a whole Slayer expansion, essentially, and that's just one slice of the sailing skill. There's so much more to it than that. As a matter of fact, people have largely, at least in my mind, I feel like Aqua Knights have been largely ignored. Lava Strike Worms have been largely ignored, and it's just really Frost Dragons and the Griffins. The Griffin for the boss, but no one cares about that, because the Rapier is just a lesser version of the zombie axe. But and maybe you'd be able to speak in that from an Iron Man progression standpoint, but because stab may be important for like I don't know TOA or something, but like this would be a whole update for 1 week that content creators would milk, and it's just a sliver of this whole update that they dropped. Man, where do we even start with Slayer? We could just go up in the levels, I guess. The Griffins. Have you just even went to go peek at the Griffin boss?
No, I haven't gotten a task for it, and that's I think the biggest complaint about it.
Ooh, are they weighted as like a low Slayer level task? Like, can you even get it from
Yes.
Duradel?
They are here. I'm gonna pull it up, but they're very very low rated for. I mean, they're low rated for once again someone with 99 Slayer who's only looking for a Griffin task. Eh, but I've heard nothing but complaints about the comparison of the zombie axe to the Griffin. What's the weapon called?
The Bell's Folly.
Yes, thank you. As far as like time to obtain kind of a thing, it's exponentially higher, and of course it's like you got to get Slayer task for it, whereas Zombie X you can just go get it in like a couple hours after you finish the quest. So it's weird that it's in that same category, and I think for the most part the Slayer update it's felt very like mid game focused, which is great. They've been so focused on the mid game this year, and I think that's great. I've passed the mid game, and so a lot of it has been like, man, on my next Iron Man, then I'll be excited about all of this.
Yes.
But sorry, I'm talking while I'm still trying to pull up the
I will say, I think
it's
while you're finding that, I do think it is. I've mentioned this earlier. Not even probably. I imagine it's a strategic wager that they cast. Like, we don't want to add anything meta defining at the top end at the end game, because then you do run that risk of warping the game around sailing, where everyone's training sailing not for the sake of training sailing, which is an awesome new skill, but they feel like they have to grind through it to be able to get this new thing that they need to go do the rest of the game more efficiently now. I think that if they should have had content for the end game or not had content for the end game, definitely a wiser decision that they focus on the mid game and just not do anything for the end game yet. 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like it can be assigned by Vanica or Cheldar, and then you can unlock you can buy an unlock to get it from Neve or Duradel.
And even then, I imagine it's a low weight.
Yeah, it was a 7 at Duradel.
Rough.
Yeah.
And you don't need it to fight Griffins in general. You just need it to fight the boss?
Yes.
Okay. So you can still farm the Horn of Plenty without a task, which I imagine that's the only thing that people that are past the progression of the Bell's Folly are going to need the Griffins for, right? Because if you don't need the Rapier, I'm imagining you still need the Griffin Feathers and the that Hunter Offhand. I believe the Hunter Offhand, its effect is you get a small chance to essentially double your catch. Did they say whether or not that doubles your chance at getting your Hunter Rumor item? Or did they say that's not the case? Can't remember.
I'm looking at it right now. Ooh, there's a bug where it works on mulch pearls. That'd be nice.
Oh, bro, I need to get there now. I need to get there now.
For real. Huh.
That is crazy. I hope they keep it.
I'm in a bingo. I need mulch pearls. My goodness.
Yeah. No, because it's I won't say like I live for that content. One of my favorite things about bingo is having to go out and grind collection logs that I am not ever going to touch otherwise. So the fact that it makes that better, that's really cool. So
the wiki doesn't say if it works on Hunter Rumors or not.
Yeah, I think because it doubles the catch, it doesn't give you a double catch chance. I think it just doubles the catch. I mean, I imagine it doesn't catch. It doesn't double your chance to get it from a Hunter Rumor. Doesn't double your chance to get a Hunter Rumor item, I guess I should say. So I guess that kind of dips into Hunter. Before we move on to another skill, though, we'll couch Hunter for now, because there actually is, I think, a pretty neat method relating to the crabs. It's really a nothing burger. I guess I'll just say it now. There is someone that's reporting that you can get quite a decent amount of experience in Hunter from hunting those crabs. They were saying about 150k XP per hour, and it's super brain off because the traps are on a set timer. It's not like chins where they're going to be randomly going in or not. So I think that's neat. I think it's definitely going to make its way into the Hunter meta at various levels. I don't think it's going to be the meta to 99, but I do like there being more. Like if you don't want to do rumors, you have this other thing that you can do that's super brain off.
Huh, that's interesting. I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah. And the other neat thing, again, I love flavor. You need to use fish offcuts as bait in order to have them go into the traps. So I know it's probably going to be annoying to get the fish offcuts. I imagine you can get a whole bunch super easily, but I like that you have to take bait to go do Hunter, because that's like, you could always smoke traps, but it's no one's ever doing anything. So I just like that there's one more thing that kind of adds to the feel of the world and the immersion, if you will. So that's Griffins. It's lame that like you can't really get a task if you're a higher level person, but maybe that's the case where like, if you're being this collection log person, maybe you just get over the fact that this content isn't designed around where you're at in the game right now. I know.
Yeah,
I have some
mean, if you're
group Ironman buddies that have farmed it and got the rapier. So
if you're grinding clogs on a post 99 Slayer account, you're just gonna be turtle skipping for the tasks you want. It's just, you're in for it, and you're in for the long haul on that one.
yeah. So after Griffins, I believe the next would be Lava Strike Worms. I still have never seen them because, again, like nothing in sailing brought me to them. I think you have to have a rope to get down into the chasm that they're in. They look really cool. I love the visual of them. But I don't know how many people are actually going to do them outside of like, if you get a worm task, it's going to be better if you have a dragon harpoon to just go kill them instead, because you get they drop lava strike worm bones, which are worth a decent amount of XP. And then they also have their chance at the nails and sheets that you're going to need anyways. It's just, I don't think anyone's going to go kill them outside of that incidental chance.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they had a better dragon harpoon rate. I mean, if they're worms and worms drop that, it'd be nice if that was. I actually just got my dragon harpoon finally this week. I was double rate for that from worms, so I was happy to finally be done with that grind. But yeah, that was something where I felt like I couldn't do the strike worms when I got the worm task. I didn't even like look at it because you can't get the harpoon from it.
Wow, I almost wonder if they should, because it's like you have this cool thing that you unlock from sailing, but you're locked out of it because you're giving up your rolls on a dragon harpoon. That's something I hadn't even thought about.
Yeah, I was hoping, but it's not on. Yeah, I mean, at least as far as the wiki goes, it's not on the drop table, so that was why I've stayed away from them.
Yeah, huh? I wonder if they thought about that. My thing is like, I don't know, like in my view, with sailing, you unlock this thing that's an even better version of the worms that are available in Karul. So yeah, I'd be totally fine if those were like dead content after you unlocked the certain sailing level. That's totally fine by me. With them, right? They're really just a worse version right now of Frost Dragons. We'll get to Frost Dragons in a second. The last thing I want to say about them, though, they said like, hey, like you use this spell on them, they become weaker. You use this spell on them, they become stronger. In theory, right? That sounds like, oh man, that's so cool and like interactive. And really, it's just like, yeah, they have a weakness to water spells, because who's gonna use the thing that makes them stronger? I think what they could have done, which would have been really cool, if you did fight them with fire, maybe they have like a different drop table or like a chance to do something else.
That'd be. Oh wow, that's take the elemental weaknesses to a whole nother level. It changes their drop table.
Yeah, well, but like my thing is like, look, you've added in this mechanic. No one's gonna do it. Like, who's gonna purposely make it harder for no reason? So whatever. I think their heart was in the right place. It's just, what's the point? And then past the Aquanites.
Now you got me thinking of some kind of in-game boss where like he has 4 different mechanics, but it turns them off if you use one element type. So then like it's a group boss and everybody has to bring a different element type.
Bro, To some extent, that is Royal Titans, right? Because in Royal Titans, if you
Yeah.
have to have like all the different you have to have the two different elements in order to do both sides of it. What it ends up turning
true.
into, at least for me, was like one person's like, I'll just worry about DPS, you worry about doing the
Yeah,
elemental
yeah.
stuff. So,
Yeah, or if you're an iron with a main, you're just like, you can buy a twin flame, right? All
yeah,
right, so you're gonna take care of all of them.
no, my Iron Man friends, I'm just like, hey, you just let me take care of that. I get to feel like a hero. It's
Yeah.
great. But dude, Aqua Knights actually have a really cool mechanic. If you use a slash weapon, it weakens their stab defense. In my head, what's happening here, and this may even happen visually. I've not been there yet, but like you're cutting off their lure that's on their head, right? And then they have a lower defense to stab. I don't know why stab, but maybe just to make the Bell's Folly useful at something. But neat mechanic. I don't know who's going to take their turn, who's going to take their time / be more active at a Slayer task just to reduce stab defense instead of just staying on what they're using.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that is interesting.
And at least from what I've heard, again, not tested it, but the hopper not in the best place right now, and I don't know if there's anything that they can do for that because just no one uses crossbows anyways.
Yeah, and it's just such a hard balance with that because it's a double chance to proc your bolts, right?
It's like a 10% chance or something to fire an additional bolt, and which I think at some level increases your chance to like proc your bolts, but the second
Okay.
bolt does less damage anyways. So I don't know. It is also like it's from a Slayer monster. You can't have it be too good because then it's better than raid items, you know.
Yeah. Well, you can hear from me my understanding of what it did. How it's one of those weird items that it feels like overtuned because they were worried about, probably they're worried about this, it's made for low level irons or mid game irons, but they're worried about what that would be with a ZCB
Yeah,
if they overtuned it or undertuned it or however you want to say it.
yeah,
Um, but so then it just ends up being a dead on arrival type of
yeah.
update because of how it could be abused with the super in game people.
Yeah, my assumption is because like at some point like you just get a blowpipe and you're not using the crossbows anyways. My assumption is like it's a hunter's crossbow which is cracked at the level you can get it as an iron, and then you have that item and then that unlocks like going to Zolda or something for you. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that would be nice with a hunter crossbow for sure.
But and then my favorite, we finally made it, Frost Dragons. Dude, they just feel like it felt really good, of course, when they were worth more money, but even if they're not, like I want to get these as a Slayer task just because you rip through them with fire spells. It just feels so good with how high you get to hit. I love it.
That was Frost Dragons have been one of the other things I've completely avoided because I heard nightmare from an iron perspective of just getting griefed and trolled
Yeah.
all day long. So
Yeah.
I've just stayed far away.
I imagine it's fine now. And especially like one of the reasons I imagine why the price has been dropping is not just the amount of people getting up to the level at which they can do them. It's also because like they nearly doubled or straight up doubled the amount of frost dragons that are in that cave. There were 6 on launch, and now there's like 10-ish. I haven't counted when I've gone in there because I haven't like explored the whole area since they've updated it. I've just been staying to the front just because there's like when I first went in there, I was going all over the place trying to find a spot. Now like you don't really need to find a spot. You kind of just I've easily been able to find a spot at the front every single time. So in my head, I'm thinking there's like 8 or 9 maybe in there instead of 6. So they've just straight up increased the amount, and they reduced the spawn time to like 5 seconds. I feel like I don't even have enough time to loot. Like I have to, if I'm safe spotting, I have to bring telenetic grab now because otherwise I'm getting fire breathe dunks. I didn't want to waste an inventory spot on a pot. Whack. I do like them though, and once you get to them, I hope you like them as well. Do you like? Is it gonna make sense for you to, or any iron? I'm imagining some irons will to bank the bones because at least on a main, I'm just bone crushing them.
I mean that's another one of those things that's kind of a player by player thing in for irons. I mean, I don't know. This is my first iron, and I haven't um prayer could be kind of weird. Some people treat it like I'm only gonna do dragon bones and superior dragon bones for prayer. Some people bank every single bone they get. Um, so I think it'll definitely there will be people who bank every single one, but for I don't know if it's not a superior dragon bone, I usually either just bury it or bone crusher it.
Maybe these will be close enough. Um, it's just I do fear this has been one thing that's like we haven't really chatted about yet. Like as bots do make their way into these methods, frost dragons I imagine are going to be one of them. And what is that going to do to the price of like dragon nails and dragon metal sheaths? That's why I haven't upgraded my rosewood boat. It's like I could pay 40 mil right now, but I know when the bots make their way up, like
Yeah.
because of how expensive dragon bones are, and I feel like I can kill frost dragons quicker than I can kill some of the chromatic dragons. So as those bots come into play, I feel like those dragon metal items are going to be just a surplus item that's just a tangential creation from bots farming the supplies. But we'll see. I'm curious if they're actually monitoring the sailing high scores more for like botting activity.
I hope so.
Just
Yeah. So it's such a hot issue, or it's such a hot topic right now that I hope so. But they're bots. It's always the bots, and man, it's such a frustrating thing to whenever that topic comes up. It's just like, yeah, the bots are gonna ruin everybody's fun.
Yep. Yeah. And I am curious. I mean, if what the XP rates of speaking of botting things, it's not just monster drops. It's also things like resources from the world. You have wood cutting and mining. There are new resources that came out. I know for players, I'm assuming, at least for me, I still have some forestry collection logs to do. I'm going to go do it at, so there's an island that has, I believe it's Ironwoods. That's super close to a bank that you can build. I'm probably going to finish out my forestry there because I can just bank the logs, which are worth at least a little bit. So the question is, though, are they even going to be worth banking? Am I just going to go back to doing it Arctic Pines, where I have like a higher pet chance or something? The bots are a whole like wild card that we have yet to see unfold. Yeah. I don't even know if people are going to be doing the mining for what, like, is it nickel, lead, and are those the two new ones? I thought there was another one. At least nickel and lead, like, are those good experience? Are people going to be doing that as a training method and then bringing those resources into the game, or is that going to be like a money making method for mining if you're an early account later on? Lots of dust settling needs to be done, I suppose.
It's just they kicked up a lot of dirt with this upgrade. There's a lot of dust.
For all the water activities they added, that's a lot of dust up in the air. It's kind of crazy.
Right.
Yeah. I did find interesting, this was intentional, rosewood logs actually have less of a fire making experience reward than redwood. I think they intentionally didn't want to devalue redwoods. Because at that point, I think the only reason people pick up redwoods now and actually bank them instead of just dropping them is to sell to players who are burning them. So if you could get more XP from burning rosewoods, I don't think anyone would be banking the redwoods. I guess at some point my economics is kicking in. If less people are banking them, then that's going to cause the supply to decrease and price to increase. But anyways.
Well, redwoods are also goated for the veil totems.
Oh yeah, for fletching now. That's true.
Yeah. I banked every single one of my redwoods on my iron, and I have 15,000 of them. I have been doing some fire making recently, but most of those are saved up for veil totems when I want to hit 99 on fletching.
Very nice, because you make the staves now with redwood logs that you can use on those totems.
Yeah. You make the stabs, and then you have to use just the raw logs as well. But yeah, both of those things.
Cool. I just thought it was because my assumption was higher tier log. I believe it requires a higher wood cutting level than redwoods. My assumption from the rip was higher tier log, more XP. Wasn't the case necessarily. I'm curious how many people even know that. So fun fact about rosewood logs. Fishing, we've already talked about with fishing trawling. we'll see what the player base thinks about it. I'd really want, this is me being, my greedy self where I want to see the game go. I'd love to see the devs stick to their guns here, just because I like the idea of skilling being something that you don't do just as a stepping stone to something else. I like it being something that you do for the sake of doing it, whether that's to make money as a main or to get the resource as an iron. What side of that debate do you end up on? Do you want them to to make it more rewarding? I know you mentioned you wanted the more XP, but you also say that iron should get out there and skill. So
No, yeah, I think so what XP per hour are people putting it at? I know it's low. I mean, is it like nothing, or is it
that's the thing now with the crystal extractor nerf. It's like it's 15k less, and I think it was only at like 30 to 45k before. So it's at like you get like 15k XP an hour doing this super high level method. So
see that for me, that falls into Volcano territory. That would be what I would compare it to, is Volcano, where, and a lot of people never touch Volcano because you don't even like, there's a lot of low XP methods in the game that give you good resources, like something like anglerfish or something. And regardless of how AFK that is, just, it's like, okay, it's worth it for me. I'm fully coming from the iron perspective. It's worth it for me to get these anglers, and you get some, some fishing experience. But there's definitely that point, and Volcano definitely feels that way. And I know there's changes. You get more XP for profit, but you can trade those.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a point where it's such a nominal amount of XP that you don't feel good about it, and you feel like you're just there for just the loot. But once again, you're talking about best in slot food, so I mean that would be worth it, but it would feel more like it turns into a chore and not a training method, which is, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's what separates it for an iron from a main. Is like you're saying, I'm going to go out and do this money making method, where for me it feels like I'm going to do this chore to gather food. It's not a training method, but just a chore. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe it is kind of weird. I mean, yes, when I first heard that, I was like, well, I'm definitely a lot less interested in that now.
Yeah, it's like sorry, I can't raid right now. I have to make my potions. I have to do my herb runs. I have to, yeah. Is there some sense where we're just creating another chore? I suppose that's true, at least from the main standpoint. It's the fact that it is a chore that people want to pay you to do it, right? So
the more undesirable it is, the more profitable it is.
Yeah. I will say, like, if it is the XP we're after, like you mentioned Volcano, that totally is. Like, maybe they could have a trawling net that is like a catch and release trawling net where you get less fish, but you get way more XP, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
Everybody wins.
Yes.
Or everybody loses.
Yes. Or we just end up with a slop of compromise. I think we know about that as RuneScape players. That's a reference to the Recipe for Disaster subplot for the goblins. Anywho, thieving is actually cracked now. I don't know if you've looked too much into that on Port Roberts.
Yeah, I saw that with the stalls. Yeah, you can get some crazy thieving XP.
Yeah, so, and it's not just crazy. I mean, it's also like you're not spam clicking and you're not getting stunned a whole bunch. And like it's thematic. I like it. It's like you steal from the cannonball 3 or 4 times, and then you go and you steal from I believe it's the first stall, or maybe it's the ore stall. You get like up to 250,000 XP per hour, and it's a relatively chill method. You just have to stay in cycle. I don't know resource wise how rewarding it is. That's been one of the things for thieving that I really want to see them do. Is I'd love to see a method that is, you just talked about how you want to see something that's that is rewarding XP wise. I'd like to see something for thieving that's like, so when I think about thieving, I think about like getting the goods, and from thieving, like you really don't get that unless you're doing I guess to some extent you can get that if you're doing elves or buyers, but I want to, I don't know, maybe this is just me. I will always say that I just want to see a heist, like skilling boss.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, it's one of the biggest missed potential skills in the whole game.
And now that we have our boat, we have our getaway vehicle. So
it
all makes sense.
Oh yeah.
It all makes sense. Prayer, I'm sure Frost Dragon bones are going to surely have left their mark on the meta. It's just so quick to get them. And then like you introduce the bot question. Like whether or not you should train prayer as a main is always dependent on where bots are at in their ban cycle. I'm imagining the same thing's going to be true now now that sailing's introduced Frost Dragons.
Yep.
Um,
Oh man, I haven't played a main in like a year or so, and I remember those days of just staring at that GP to XP and like
yep.
refreshing for all those Bible skills, crafting,
Yeah.
prayer. It's like, oh, where are we at today? Ooh, okay, I'm switching over to these bones.
Yep. Yeah. And it's like for me, it's like, okay, am I thinking about maxing or not? Am I in a skilling attitude or am I in a
Yep.
PVM attitude? It's just it was all dependent on whether or not bots had driven down the prices of everything. So it's just I have to imagine that Frost Dragons, they're just gonna make prayer even just even normal dragon bones are going to be cheaper now because why would I buy dragon bones if I can get frost dragon bones? Because 87 sailing isn't anything for a bot to get. Um, so I imagine that dragon bones aren't even going to be farmed by the bots too much anymore
Yeah,
unless
and
it's
it's
like
like
a suicide
they're
bot
not,
situation.
and it's like they're not there for the bones. If they do get to frost dragons, they're gonna be there for the sheets and the nails. So it seems like it would be inefficient for them to be banking every single bone
Ah,
when
man,
I don't know.
I don't know if I because like 87 uh, training, so 87 sailing doesn't take that much to get. I'm almost curious that because there'll be so many bots that can get there so quickly and there's going to be so much demand for the Frost Dragon Bones. I feel like there's going to be so many Frost Dragon Bones farmed, and because to farm those Frost Dragon Bones, you have to get the sheets and the nails. I mean, it's this is us just speculating. We'll see who ends up being right once the bots get there. But I almost think the opposite is going to be true. I think where the bones are going to be what they're botting and farming, and because of that, as a side effect, you have this these other dragon items being produced, and the price of those is going to plummet as well.
Yeah.
So
Maybe I just need to remember that there's still bots that spin flax. So maybe they're in it for they'll take any profit they can get. So yeah, you're probably more likely to be right than I am on that one.
at some point, botting's a lifestyle, man. They just they don't want to make money. They just want to stick a finger up to Jagex. Like, you know what? I'm
Yeah.
botting. I'm not making anything from this, but I'm making your game look worse. So take that,
They're in it for the love of the game.
or or the loathing of it.
Yeah, the loathing of the game.
The last skill that's touched by sailing is not even intentional, and this is my favorite part about this game is it's not anywhere in the sailing rewards, it's not anywhere in the rune crafting like skill guide if you pull it up, but rune crafting you do get like I think it's like doubling the experience that you get from making astrals, or at least you go from what you get 50k for making astrals, now you can get up to 70k because you can teleport to your boat on Lunar Isle, which gets you closer to the altar. I just think that's really cool. I love when that stuff happens. I'm curious if the devs had in mind that happening.
No shot. No shot.
their mind was elsewhere. Like, I'm not even thinking about
Yeah.
recrafting.
No, that's like the most RuneScape thing ever, and I love it. Just as like you're saying, it's so awesome when these updates have this completely unexpected outcomes that change things, and if it gets left in and not if they don't panic and nerf it, unless it is completely broken, obviously. But this seems like a pretty acceptable thing. Of I don't know, yeah, just it's just a fun little side byproduct, unintended byproduct of sailing, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it is kind of expensive to get going too. I don't just mean from a main perspective. As like if you want to do this as an iron, you have to go out and kill those vampire krakens until you get a bottled storm, so you can teleport to your boat. So, it's not easy to set up by any means either. I think realistically, by the time you would be doing this, you'd already have unlocked something like double natures using the achievement diary. Anyhow, I guess that's super late game. I've lost all perspective of this game after maxing. It's I don't know.
Oh, I feel that.
Yeah. Um, we're already at 11:30. You got to get up super early.
Yeah.
You did say that, like one of your things you were wanting to look forward to was future spitballing. Like I'm down to do that now. But if you feel like we've done enough of that tonight already,
I think we
not
worked.
opposed
I
to
think we
call it.
worked it in pretty well. I think I as far as like, I guess we could just mention like what do you want to see next,
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
kind of do it in a kind of smaller fashion.
yeah, for sure. So Trey, what do you want to see next when it comes to sailing? If they do, we talked about this QOL, like this master sailing update. It could just be that. Like, what features do you want to see them clean up in whatever update they have coming? or even like what bigger content pieces do you see with sailing? Would you want to come out here?
I mean, we'll put raids 4 aside because I think that's the big thing that everybody wants. Even if it's just sailing themes and doesn't require a huge sailing level. But
Yeah.
you know, we need more boats. I think that there's a lot of space for new boats. You know, we can get bigger boats with options to have more of the different facilities on them. You know, we can have boats that are more of like a luxury liner. We can have boats that are really tuned for combat. You know, just as take a drink when the dust settles, you know, and we kind of see where things are with sailing. They can see kind of where they want to optimize and add other types of boats. And I want to see boats that come from quests. I want to see, like, that's such a cool quest rewards. You know, you get like a Fremennik ship, you know, this Viking ship you can get from a Fremennik quest or
Yep.
something.
Even if it's just
Um,
cosmetic. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh man, yeah, we love that in RuneScape. Do something crazy just for a cosmetic transmog to your boat for sure. Um, yeah, like, and you know, I just I just want more. I want to see more training methods with other skills integrated into sailing. Um, like I was thinking the other day about like if like off of Karamja, you know, they had like fishing lines and you were like repairing them for crafting XP as like some kind of activity. Or I was thinking about like what if they had some kind of Game of Thrones esque like braziers up in the northern sea that were preventing, you know, sea monsters from attacking the cities that you could like be relighting or something for like fire making. You know, just all like I'm very excited for all the different. I just want more and more ways to train skills. I do love skilling in this game. I max my main and was the skiller guy, and then I started an iron and went on this huge PVM arc, and I've been PVMing constantly on my iron, and I'm excited to get back into skilling, and I just want more. I just want more from sailing to give me more different skilling methods. Um, I want agility methods. I want rude crafting methods, and I think it'll come. I'm just so like it doesn't feel like a new skill. It feels like they doubled the size of the world, and I just want them to fill it out more and more and more. And I think they're going to. I think that's going to be a huge part of the updates we get, and I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. The world is the most exciting part for me as well. I just want to see. I want to know what's happening at that little port that you can't access that has something I'm sure to do with the quest that happens on the Great Conch. I want to see those islands that are out to the east that we can't access yet because they're in an area of water that our boat just can't handle right now. Uh, the world is so exciting to me. I know that we can now like have quests finished in a way that's going to be really climactic and cinematic. Like thinking about the pirate quest line, thinking about the that pillar that's on Mostly Harmless and in the Lasar Undercity, being related to whatever ancient beast deity or whatever is responsible for the craziness that people are experiencing. The penguin quest line, if we can please have a quest, I'm envisioning it now where we're hunting for like a penguin submarine. I believe that's essentially what's happening in the RS3 continuation. I think it's called the Hunt for Red Rack Tuber or something. I can't quite remember.
Oh, that rules.
Yes. Yeah, dude. I love the penguin quest line so much, but like I'm imagining like you have that sonar device that you can get on your ship as a facility to help you with trawling. And like one of the quest requirements could be to have that so you're tracking this submarine. And it has maybe the same mechanics as fishing as you know, deep sea trawling. I'm so excited for the world building aspect. And it could even be like the more skilling stuff on islands, like an island that has an agility course on it. I'd love to see if, you know, Miniphos, they of course removed all the black spots from the game, but when they develop Miniphos, I would love to see like if the soul altar is added. I saw a super cool idea online of someone talking about like maybe you have to mine these blocks of like rune essence, kind of like we do for dense essence over in our CS. You have to like mine these blocks and then put them in your cargo hold and then sail them across the ocean to the true soul altar that's like off the coast of Menethos, and then you craft them there, and then you can maybe teleport back to your bank and restart. But I don't know. Like I'm the same as you. Like I want more stuff. And of course, it goes without saying, like, I want them to fix combat. I think ship combat could be really cool. It's just right now it's in an awkward spot. And that's for them to figure out, because while I think it could be as simple as like just modifying, like, okay, make the cannonballs do more damage but make them attack slower. Like, that sounds good on paper, and then like you think about, well, like, that's how some weapons are, but people just don't like attacking with slow weapons. So is that what we want? I'm sure they'll figure it out. That's the thing that I'm also most excited for, is that like these devs have proved time and time again that they are the most capable devs, I think, in the industry right now. It's really like Jagex is the only old studio that's, I think, doing a good job. So props to them. I'm excited to see what they get going here in the next year. I know Mon North in a recent podcast, he said that he's very excited. I imagine that part of that included sailing, but we have our winter summit in 2026 in January. I think it's the 18th, maybe. We're gonna find out what we're getting. I'm sure some of it's gonna be sailing related. Trey, this has been a pleasure, brother. You're gonna be more tired than I am in the morning. It's not lost on me.
Oh man, it hit me in the it really hit me like 15 minutes ago. I'm like, I probably sound drunk for the last part of this.
No. Thank you so much for your time. And have a good night, man. I'll see you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Weaves World Podcast. Please be sure to go support Trey on all of the socials that are listed on screen. GNN will be back next week. Thank you so much for listening, and have a fantastic day.